Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Hokage. My ninjutsu effects are maxed out. Chapter 61. Shitbone Forest. The place where the legendary Katsuyu sage live. But in fact, the Wetbone Forest is not as scary as its name, and there are no corpses and bones scattered all over the mountains and plains. It looks no different from an ordinary forest. When Tsunade entered the Wetbone Forest, her whole person became in awe. You must know that Katsuyu sage has lived for thousands of years. Legend has it that Katsuyu sage is a product of Kagaya's era. The conclusion of a contract with Katsuyu is the inheritance of the Senju family. Senju Hashirama's sage mode may also come from Shigu Forest. Now the Senju family is in decline. All members of the Senju family live in seclusion in various ninja villages, which can be regarded as breaking up the inheritance. Coupled with Lu Emu's special significance to Tsunade. So Tsunade took Lu Mu to Shigu Forest without hesitation. Lu Mu breathed in the fresh air greedily. Although the ninja world industry has not yet fully developed, wherever there are people, the air also carries a smell of fireworks. And in the Wetbone Forest, a completely undeveloped virgin forest. Take a deep breath, filled with natural breath. Tsunade-chan, you haven't been to my place for a long time. Suddenly a voice came out. It sounded like it was in his ears, but no matter how Lu Mu looked, he couldn't find the person speaking. Master Katsuyu, I'm here, and not only am I here, I also brought someone with me. Tsunade just finished speaking. A huge figure slowly stood up. Lu Mu looked up and was frightened by the scene in front of him. I saw a huge blue-white slug standing in front of me. Its whole body was like a mountain, giving people an inexplicable sense of oppression. It's several times bigger than the Katsuyu seen in the anime. This is Katsuyu sage. Yes, they are better than those toads on Mount Myoboku. Tsunade put her hands on her hips and smiled proudly. If I hadn't channeled myself, I wouldn't be able to see the complete form of Katsuyu sage. Gamabunta and Banshee are simply not enough to watch. Katsuyu Immortal looked at Lu Mu. Although Lu Mu did not see Katsuyu Immortal's eyes, the feeling of being watched was absolutely unmistakable. The strength of a Chunin at this age is indeed good, but if you want to practice my sage mode, it's still a little bit behind. Katsuyu Sennin shook his head in disappointment. If you practice Chunin at the age of 12 or 13, you can be considered a genius. But the ninja world is so big, there are still many such geniuses. And the sage mode of Shigabone Forest. Even Tsunade, one of the Sannin, has not learned it, let alone Lu Mu. Anyway, let Xiao Lu Mu give it a try. Tsunade said quickly. What I mean is that with this kid's talent, if he goes to Mount Myoboku or Raichi Cave, he has a higher chance of practicing sage mode. There is no need to waste time here with me. Katsuyu sage refused again, but seeing Tsunade's serious look, she shook her head helplessly. Okay, it's okay to give it a try, but I need him to prove his strength. Ding dong. Prove your strength to Katsuyu sage. Mission reward. Arousal increased by 10%. Immediate reward. Reward content is determined by completion. Lu Mu felt happy. Unexpectedly, coming to Shigu Forest to study could actually trigger a mission. As long as this task is completed, the arousal level will reach 70%, which is still 30% short of system awakening. And there are also mysterious rewards. In any case, there is absolutely nothing wrong with coming to Shigu Forest this time. So how do I show my strength? Do you look confident? The way to show your strength is very simple. Use your strongest ninjutsu on me and I will be able to judge your strength. You sure? Lu Emu's mouth twitched. Although his ninjutsu is not very powerful, the special effects are definitely enough to scare people. The third Hokage and Shimura Danzo were the ones who were killed in the beginning. Of course I'm sure. Don't worry about me, I've lived for thousands of years, ninjutsu has never seen anything, you can't hurt me. Katsuyu sage said gently. Don't worry about using your ninjutsu. Even if my grandfather comes here, Katsuyu-sama, I'm afraid he won't be able to hurt her, so you just need to feel free to use ninjutsu boldly. Tsunade patted Lu Emu's shoulder gently. A serious look on his face. Lu Mu shook his shoulders. Now that the words have come to this, Lu Mu naturally has no choice but to take action. Then Lu Mu quickly formed seals with his hands. As the last tiger seal lit up, a mouthful of chakra was sprayed out. The great fireball technique is a little worse than I expected. Katsuyu Sennin shook his head in disappointment. Although the Great Fireball technique is extremely lethal, for Katsuyu Sage, it can't even be considered as scratching an itch. And for a Chunin, taking the technique of Great Fireball as the most unique skill in the box seems very shabby. Katsuyu Sage was about to refuse when he suddenly noticed that the sky had darkened. Katsuyu Sennin subconsciously looked up. The whole worm was shocked. What exactly is this? Mr. and Mrs. Toad Sage are sleeping. Suddenly I felt a dangerous breath coming from me. Awakened directly from a dream. I ran out of the house and was stunned when I saw the fireball approaching infinitely in the sky. Look around. The edge of this fireball was completely invisible, as if the entire ninja world was enveloped. Toad Sage thought he was dreaming and slapped himself in the face. Snapped. The slap was crisp and loud. Toad Sage also felt his face hurt. Not in a dream. And you can also feel the faint traces of chakra on the fireball. Those taller trees have been ignited by the high temperature. Suddenly thick smoke billowed, and there were the sounds of small animals wailing everywhere. It's like purgatory on earth. Is the end coming? Toad Sage had a look of despair on his face. I never thought that as a Toad Sage, I would be so powerless one day. Even under a ninjutsu, I can't feel any resistance. At this moment, a huge toad jumped out, with a pipe in its mouth, and when it exhaled, it seemed to cover the entire hill. But at this time, he also had an anxious expression on his face. Although he was still smoking leisurely, the hand holding the pipe kept shaking, which showed that he was nervous inside. Sir, what exactly happened? It's an enemy that we can never defeat. As long as they are willing, we have no ability to resist. Toad Sage said desperately. If you can't defeat us, why can't you escape? If not, just rely on psychic skills to escape. Wentai said quickly. Toad Sage smiled bitterly. Then he jumped several times in succession and jumped on Gamabunta's head. As the altitude increases, the temperature also increases a lot. Toad Sage's clothes all showed signs of being set on fire. Look around you. This fireball covers the sky and the sun. The size of the fireball may be much larger than we imagined. You want to escape, but where is the safe place in the entire ninja world? Toad Sage jumped down after speaking. When I walked up to my wife, she seemed to be depressed, like a hero coming to an end. Toad Sage doesn't want to protect his wife, children, and his people, but in front of this ninjutsu, Toad Sage can't do anything. The only thing that can be done is to accompany him at the end. Gamabunta's face was filled with unwillingness, but his fighting spirit immediately rekindled. Since we can't escape, let's face each other and hide under my belly. Get up and carry this fireball. Toad Sage's eyes lit up. With Gamabunta's huge body to resist, and the water-type ninjutsu to cool down, the smaller toad might actually have a chance to survive. But if he does this, there is absolutely no chance of Gamabunta surviving. Moreover, there are a lot of little toads, so most of them must be discarded. Gwa, gwa gwa. As the cries of toads continued to sound, more and more huge toads jumped out and gathered around to protect the small toads and some smaller animals below. I hope our Toad clan can escape this disaster. Toad Sage sighed and said weakly. At this time, Longdi Cave was also in chaos. But Ryuji Cave has a slight advantage over Mount Myoboku. The snakes in Longdi Cave can burrow in the ground. Countless snakes desperately dug holes downwards, hoping to escape this disaster by relying on the ground. But one snake didn't move. Instead, he stared blankly at the fireball in the sky. Master Wan Shi, hurry up and get underground, otherwise it will be too late. It's useless, no matter how deep you drill, you can't escape this fireball. And the caster of this fireball wants to destroy the world. Even if you escape the first wave, you won't be able to escape the next wave. The vicissitudes of Wan Snake, there was a trace of despair in his voice. Someone wants to destroy the world. Good. At this time, a huge white snake slowly swam out. There was even an ethereal fairy aura exuding from his body. White Snake Immortal, the Lord of Longdi Cave, the immortal of this world. I have already felt the emotions of two old friends, one is fear and the other is despair. That clan is definitely back. The White Snake Immortal said in a calm tone. But there was no hope in his eyes. Master White Snake, can't you even do anything about it? You are an immortal. The White Snake Immortal shook his head feebly. It's useless. Even if my two old friends and I attack together, we can't deal with this ninjutsu, let alone the insanely powerful existence behind this ninjutsu. Even if the six paths from back then is here, we can't. The white snake immortal said and coiled himself up. Give up your resistance. That person should have surpassed the realm of immortals. His arrival is to restart the world. After the white snake immortal finished speaking, he closed his mouth and enjoyed his last moments. Katsuyu Sage looked at the fireball in front of him in disbelief. I couldn't believe it at all. The fireball in front of me was a ninjutsu performed by a ninja. And this is what I asked for. I'm asking you to show your strength, not to destroy the world. Even the gentle and kind-hearted Katsuyu Sage couldn't help but roar in his heart. If Katsuyu Sage is given another chance, he will never let Lu Mu use ninjutsu and will not offend Lu Mu. After all, the consequences are too great. Big enough to bury the entire ninja world with it. But now it's too late, it's already happened. It is absolutely impossible to stop such a huge ninjutsu. Even if the transportation of chakra is stopped, it cannot stop the fireball from falling. It is obviously impossible to stop this fireball by manpower. Even if you gather all the ninjas in the ninja world. When facing this fireball, they were like ants. But there is one person who can definitely stop the fireball, and that is the magician Lu Mu. At this time the fireball gradually approached. The huge Katsuyu Sage felt the high temperature of the fireball for the first time. There was even a burning smell. As soon as Katsuyu Sage gritted his teeth, he immediately split into countless small Katsuyu. Katsuyu Sage, who was originally taller than a mountain, instantly split into the size of a palm. One of them, Katsuyu, rolled directly in front of Lu Mu. Lu Mu was startled. Although he knew that Katsuyu Sage could split and combine, it was the first time he saw it split in front of him, like a mountain splitting into countless Katsuyu. What are you doing? I'm cracked, so I won't be dried out by this fireball. Katsuyu said with a smile. Lu Mu raised his head and glanced at the fireball. A disapproving smile appeared on his face. After the special effects were last upgraded, the special effects can also inherit a certain power of ninjutsu. A great fireball jutsu, spread out so hugely. Although it looks very scary, it is actually just a paper tiger and can be easily defeated. So have I passed this test? Lu Mu asked expectantly. After all, Lu Mu really needs Sage Mode now. Once you learn it, you will be considered a good combat force even within the Akatsuki organization. No more timidity all day long. Katsuyu Immortal trembled when he heard Lu Mu's words. Still angry. For such a powerful ninja, it is definitely a joke to learn Sage Mode. Then it is difficult to figure out the purpose of finding yourself. Could it be that you want to surrender? Thinking of this, Katsuyu Sage felt more and more that this possibility was extremely high. Moreover, she could smell Lu Mu's scent on Tsunade. This scent could only be left behind through very close contact. Over time, the smell will disappear. Then the smell is definitely left over from recent times. In an instant, Katsuyu's fairy tree suddenly opened up. Could it be that this boy wants to make himself a slave? Katsuyu Sennin turned to look at Lu Mu. He found that Lu Mu was looking at him with fiery eyes and expectancy. That kind of explicit and undisguised look instantly confirmed Katsuyu's thoughts. Lu Mu came here just for him. Learning Sage Mode is all an excuse. The boundless fireball above his head was Lu Mu's attack on him. It's also a bargaining chip. He wanted to take everything in the world as a hostage and force himself to become Lu Mu's slave. If it is for other reasons, even if Katsuyu Sage dies, he will never agree. But now that Lu Mu is using everything in the world as a bargaining chip, he has to agree. So what if you sacrifice yourself for the sake of everything in the world? It's just that I'm a little bit unwilling. Wait. Katsuyu Sage said. Katsuyu gathered quickly around him, and thousands of little Katsuyu gradually gathered into a human shape, standing in front of Lu Mu. Lu Mu was stunned for a moment. I have no idea what Katsuyu Sennin wants to do. But I have to say that Katsuyu Sennin has a pretty good figure now, and he looks quite cute. Sage, are you finally willing? Can I not agree? Then let's deal with this ninjutsu first. Katsuyu Sage gritted his teeth. Lu Mu reacted immediately. Then with a wave of one hand, the boundless fireball in the sky disappeared immediately. Only a few scattered flames fell down. Unfortunately, the flames were too scattered and went out before they could ignite anything. The ball in front of Lu Mu was scorched by the flames. Katsuyu Sennin saw this scene and had a wry smile on his face. Still underestimated Lu Mu's strength. Such a huge fireball disappeared with a wave of one hand. This is several times stronger than the previous imagination. For such a strong man, destroying the ninja world is as easy as squeezing an ant to death. To be able to be the slave of such a powerful man. It can't be considered a shame at all, maybe it's still an opportunity. An opportunity to improve your destiny. Katsuyu Sage thought, took out a scroll and handed it over respectfully. Please sign the contract. Lu Mu's face showed joy. After hard work, he finally gained the recognition of Katsuyu Sage. Then, you can practice Sage mode and reach the peak of your life. Thinking of this, Lu Mu couldn't help but get excited. He quickly took the scroll and opened it. It's a pity that I don't recognize any of the words above. But Lu Mu knew where the signature was. As long as you sign this contract, you can directly channel Katsuyu Sage through spiritualism. As for how much can be channeled, it all depends on the amount of chakra you have. Tsunade came back to her senses at this time and breathed a sigh of relief when she found that the fireball in the sky was gone. It seems that I drank too much yesterday and my brain is still not working well. Tsunade thought and looked up. I saw a beautiful and lovely woman standing in front of Lu Mu. Tsunade's heart skipped a beat. Katsuyu Sage. Tsunade didn't expect that Katsuyu Sage would reveal his human form. Tsunade knew that Katsuyu Sage had such a human form. But as an immortal, I prefer to let myself be in the true state. This can better convert natural energy into Sage Jutsu chakra. More conducive to practice. But as long as he is willing to show his human form, it means that the other person has a very high status in the mind of Katsuyu Sage. As for how high Tsunade is, she doesn't know. After all, I didn't enjoy that kind of treatment. Tsunade looked up. When he found that Lu Mu was holding a scroll in his hand, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Finally Katsuyu Sage recognized Lu Mu. I can let go of a stone in my heart. As for whether Lu Mu can cultivate into Sage mode, it can only depend on Lu Mu's luck. Tsunade looked up at the scroll in Lu Mu's hand. I found that this scroll was different from the contract I signed. The contract signed before did not contain much content. The most numerous ones are the signatures and bloody handprints of previous contractors. But the contract in Lu Mu's hand was packed with regulations, and there was only one place where Lu Mu could sign. As for the signatures of past generations, they have long since disappeared. But Tsunade still wants to believe Katsuyu Sage. After all, Katsuyu Sennin is synonymous with gentleness and kindness, and it is absolutely impossible for him to sign an unequal treaty with Lu Mu. Therefore, Tsunade did not choose to check the contract content. Instead, he waited obediently by the side. Lu Mu bit his finger, wrote his name on the contract with blood, and then made a bloody fingerprint. The moment Lu Mu's hand left, the words on the scroll seemed to come alive, beating constantly. Several black words jumped to the back of Lu Mu's neck. With a feeling of acupuncture, the words were completely imprinted on Lu Mu. And the rest of the text. Then they all jumped onto Katsuyu Sage's body, and densely covered Katsuyu Sage's body. As the black text lights up, Katsuyu Sage screamed in pain. Lu Mu was immediately startled. Does the contracted psychic beast have to be so painful? No wonder Katsuyu Sage kept refusing just now. If it were me, I would never agree easily. Tsunade had a puzzled expression on her face. Why is the process of signing a contract this time so different from the previous one? Could it be that he hasn't interfered with the ninja world for too long? Even the psychic skills have been upgraded to version 2.0. And signing a psychic beast is so painful. I must treat Katsuyu Sennin well in the future. Katsuyu Sage wailed for 3 minutes. The whole forest seemed to feel her pain and could not bear it for Katsuyu Sage. The grass simply withered. The flowers wither instantly. Leaves fell in large tracts. Finally Katsuyu Sage's wails stopped. On his forehead, a white shadow seemed to slowly float out, and then suddenly got into the brand on the back of Lu Mu's neck. For a moment, Lu Mu seemed to be able to feel Katsuyu Sage's emotions. There seemed to be an inexplicable connection between the two. Lu Mu couldn't help but his eyes lit up. I didn't expect that psychic skills would be so awesome. It's no wonder that even though they are thousands of miles apart, they can instantly find each other's location and channel it. So there is this connection. The words on Katsuyu Sage's body no longer glowed, then gradually faded, and finally completely disappeared from the skin. It's like it never happened. Katsuyu Sage's legs softened and he fell directly to the ground. Looking closely, Katsuyu Sage's face was pale, his clothes were soaked with sweat, and he was breathing in fresh air greedily. Katsuyu-sama, are you okay? Lu Mu asked anxiously. After all, the contract has been signed, and Mount Myoboku and Raichi Cave can no longer go. Now Katsuyu Sage is Lu Mu's only chance to practice Sage mode. If something happens to Katsuyu Sage, Lu Mu will probably cry to death. Master Katsuyu looked at Lu Mu in confusion. When a slave contract is signed, a small piece of the soul is torn out. I'm afraid I won't be able to recover for the rest of my life. He actually asked if everything was okay. Moreover, he has signed a slave contract with Lu Mu, and he must obey Lu Mu unconditionally in the future. Lu Mu only needs a thought to kill him. In this state, Lu Mu actually spoke to him so respectfully. But Katsuyu Sennin was immediately relieved. After all, strong people are very weird and like all kinds of role-playing. Since Lu Mu is willing to play like this, he can only continue. It's okay. You can recover after a little rest. Suddenly Lu Mu's face showed an expression of joy. So I can learn Sage mode now, right? Sage mode. Katsuyu Sennin looked at Lu Mu inexplicably. Why should you learn Sage mode when you already have your own people? Are you burying me? But Katsuyu Sage didn't dare to say. After all, life and death are in Lu Mu's hands. No matter what Lu Mu wants to do, Katsuyu Sage has no ability to refuse. Otherwise, it will be a small thing if you die. If the ninja world is destroyed, we will not be able to shoulder this responsibility. I'm in a bit of a bad shape right now. Why don't you learn some basics from little Tsunade first, and then come back to me? Katsuyu Sage said weakly. Ding dong. Mission accomplished. Arousal level increased by 10%, now arousal level is 70%. Ding dong. Mission completion is perfect. Get random rewards. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for getting the reward. Perfect blood succession boundary, ice escape. At first, Lu Mu looked a little disappointed when he heard that he could not learn Sage mode right away. After all, after learning Sage mode, you can obtain Sage Jutsu Chakra. Strength can achieve qualitative change. But Katsuyu Sennin is really not in good condition right now. You can't force the other party. After all, Katsuyu Sage is a girl, and she is also a sage. It is not a wise choice to force the other party. Fortunately, the rewards given by the system are very generous. Let's not mention arousal for now. The rewarded blood succession boundary ice escape is definitely the perfect mission reward. The line of inheritance is passed down through blood. Without the boundaries of blood inheritance, no matter how hard you try, you will not be able to practice. And ice escape is also a very powerful ability. It can instantly freeze enemies, and when practiced to the extreme, even chakra can be frozen. This time the Shigi Bone Forest was also full of gains. Okay, then I'll come see Master Katsuyu then. Lu Mu said and left the Shigu Forest with Tsunade. Katsuyu Sennin suddenly collapsed to the ground. The pressure in front of Lu Mu was too great. Even when you breathe, you have to be careful. Afraid of accidentally offending him. Although he signed a slave contract with Lu Mu, Katsuyu Sage was not sad at all. After all, a god like Lu Mu. Not everyone can be his slave. Being able to become Lu Mu's slave is definitely a great favor. Now he has become Lu Mu's slave. Then you have to figure out how to please Lu Mu. As long as you please Lu Mu, the ninja world will definitely be safe. At this time Katsuyu Sennin thought of the way Lu Mu looked at him. Suddenly his heart started beating rapidly. There was also a trace of red glow on his face. Katsuyu, you are doing this for the entire ninja world, there is nothing to be ashamed of. Just when Katsuyu Sage was thinking wildly, a white snake and a toad appeared in Shigu Forest. Katsuyu, do you know what happened with the fireball just now? Katsuyu Sennin was startled. He quickly put away the shy expression on his face and returned to his usual noble and holy look. Of course, that's how I got this injury. What? White Snake Immortal and Toad Sage were startled. The most powerful person from outside the world who was looking for everywhere turned out to be in Shigu Forest. This made the two immortals uneasy. What happened just now? Why did such a fireball appear in the sky? Katsuyu Sage shrugged helplessly and began to repeat it seriously. The White Snake Immortal and Toad Sage were surprised at first, then fearful, and finally helpless. After all, if it is true as Katsuyu Sage said, then Lu Mu is absolutely invincible. Even if the entire ninja world adds up, they may not be his opponent. Katsuyu, your sacrifice is too great. You actually signed a slave contract with him for the sake of the ninja world. Yes, but in this way, a connection has been established between the two of you. The job of appeasing him can only be left to you. Katsuyu Sennin nodded slightly. There was a hint of confidence on his face. Don't worry, this Lu Mu seems to be quite interested in me, but I don't know how humans should please each other. Katsuyu Sage had a sad look on his face. Katsuyu Sage has lived for thousands of years. But he stayed in Shigulan. Even if a contractor comes in occasionally. But everyone is very respectful. How to please the other person simply doesn't know what to do. Only the White Snake Rishi and Toad Sage can be turned to. I don't know what to do. The White Snake Immortal shook his head quickly. At this moment, Toad Sage smiled proudly. Although I don't understand either, my contractor, Jiraiya, is a famous writer in the ninja world and has a very deep understanding of the emotions in the human world. The most important thing is that he also wrote a book because of it, which is very popular among people. I happen to have a copy of it. Hearing Toad Sage's words, Katsuyu Sage showed a surprised expression on his face. That's really great. Come and get that book quickly. I'll study hard and see how the human world pleases each other. Lu Mu returned to his original world. After taking only a few steps, Lu Mu suddenly felt a chill coming over him, making Lu Mu shiver all over. Xiao Lu Mu, what's wrong with you? Do you have a cold? Let me help you treat it. Tsunade said worriedly. Lu Mu quickly distanced himself from Tsunade. Although Tsunade is the most famous medical ninja in the ninja world. But if he treats Tsunade himself, his body will definitely become thinner and thinner. And it's not a cold either. It feels like being watched. Just like how Tsunade makes herself feel now. You'd better help Jiraiya with his treatment. It won't be good if he is really disabled or something. Upon hearing the word, Jiraiya, Tsunade immediately frowned. He actually dared to eat the breakfast he specially made for Lu Mu, and even said it was unpalatable. It was already very good that he was not sent directly to see the Buddha. But now Lu Mu spoke. No matter how reluctant he is, he can only nod his head and agree. At this moment, a paper crane flapped its wings and slowly flew onto Lu Mu's shoulder. Lu Mu took down the paper crane in surprise. The paper crane bears Conan's signature. Lu Mu hurriedly opened it, but when he saw the lip print at the bottom of the envelope, he couldn't help but tremble. Sure enough, Conan is the one who knows how to do things. Mu, I went for an infusion yesterday. What kind of fluid was given? I miss your fluid, Mu. It has been almost 3 months since we parted ways in Sawa country. When will you come back? Looking at Conan's letter, Lu Mu couldn't help but tremble. This is really too oily. It's so oily that I feel greasy. But before I knew it, almost 3 months had passed. It's time to go back. After all, if the Akatsuki organization identifies him as a traitor to the Akatsuki organization, he will be hunted endlessly. What I was most afraid of was that Conan would come looking for me. Who can bear to let the fight between 2 women turn into a war between 3 women in an instant? Tsunade-sama, it's time for me to go back. Please help me say goodbye to Pervy Sage. I won't go, otherwise he will ask me to use that ninjutsu again. Tsunade shuddered. There was an expression of reluctance on his face. Lu Mu allowed himself to regain the feelings that had been sealed for decades. But he was about to leave in a blink of an eye. How could Tsunade accept this? Can you not leave? If you don't leave, will you support me? I support you with gambling money. Lu Mu's mouth twitched. If Tsunade relies on gambling to support herself, she will starve to death sooner or later. You don't even need the Akatsuki organization to come and hunt you down, you will starve to death on the roadside. Long journey, although Lu Mu was fully prepared this time. But after all, maps are not like mobile phone navigation. Wherever you go, you must find surrounding reference objects. But the reference is too abstract. As a result, Lu Mu had been gone for almost a month and he still hadn't reached the land of rain. There is a village ahead, and I finally don't have to live in a tree this time. When Lu Mu saw the buildings in the distance, his face showed an expression of tears of joy. Then he started running quickly in the direction of the village. But Lu Mu didn't notice that there were several ninjas in fox masks surrounding him, who were constantly observing Lu Mu. If a suspicious ninja is found, will we arrest him? We will observe for the time being. If we are heading towards the village, we will arrest you. If you resist, we will kill you without mercy. Receive. Wait a minute, look at this ninja's clothes and appearance. Upon hearing the prompt, Captain Anbu trembled, and a terrifying figure from a few months ago echoed in his mind. That day, a giant Hazashi fell from the sky and destroyed the entire village. That day, countless small transparent snakes appeared, causing turmoil in the entire village. That day, the 3 fire phoenixes overwhelmed everyone and made them breathless. That day Lord Hokage collapsed helplessly. Captain Anbu shivered again in fright. Then he quickly took out a piece of paper from his ninja bag. There is a drawing of a young man with a ferocious mask on the paper. Just looking at the picture, he is definitely a murderous villain. At the bottom of the paper, countless dangers were written in red pen. Captain Anbu took the pictures and compared them back and forth. His face suddenly darkened. He's here again, please notify Hokage-sama, Danzo-sama and Yugao-sama immediately. We can't handle this matter. Several Anbu members nodded slightly. Lu Mu left such a deep impression on everyone that he even became everyone's nightmare. When facing Lu Mu, no one could ignite their fighting spirit. I just want to escape quickly. It seems like there will be no peace today. Sarutobi Hiruzen paced back and forth in the office. The man is back. The man who filled him with memories and fear was back. Even after a few months. Also knowing deep down that it was just genjutsu. But the memory of 3 lives and 3 lives is not so easy to change. At this moment, a woman walked in with a serious face. Mom, that man from Xi'an is back. Xiao Fei, I know Lord Hokage, he is back. A few simple words between the two made the situation suddenly awkward. After all, it would be unjustifiable for the already elderly Sarutobi Hiruzen to call the 20-year-old Azuki Yugon's mother. And Uoyuki Xi'an didn't have that kind of awe in front of the 3rd Hokage. On the contrary, he has the aura of an elder. At this time, Shimura Danzo walked out step by step on crutches. When he saw the situation of the two of them, he couldn't help but shook his head. You two haven't come out of genjutsu yet. Azuki Yugon and Sarutobi Hiruzen had wry smiles on their faces. I have been Xiaofei's mother for 3 lifetimes, will it be so easy for me to get out of this? Maoyu Xian said angrily. Shimura Danzo was startled and his face looked extremely ugly. Not long ago, Azuki Yugao was an ordinary Anbu, but since she got hit by that genjutsu, she has directly become the mother of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Directly super senior. His status rose immediately. Even she had to call Uoyu Xian aunt. Auntie, it's my fault, I shouldn't have talked too much. Shimura Danzo closed his mouth in frustration. Then what is the purpose of that man coming to Konoha? Sarutobi Hiruzen said solemnly. Then I picked up the pipe and wanted to take a puff. But as soon as he reached his mouth, he was slapped away. How many times have Xiaofei told you that smoking is not allowed, why can't you listen? Sarutobi Hiruzen was about to cry. Suddenly there is a young mother, and I am still being controlled at my age, which makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. Mom, Danzo is still here. Shimura Danzo coughed twice in embarrassment. He was not prepared to get involved in the matter between Sarutobi Hiruzen and Uezuki Yugon. Why don't you stop him first? Send Anbu to follow him and find out what he wants to do. Then we can contact him. Good. Yes, just do it. Lu Mu came to the village without any hindrance. When I saw the Hokage rock hanging high in the distance, I instantly understood where it was. Konoha village in the land of fire. Unexpectedly, I came here again after a few months. But what Lu Mu didn't expect was, Anbu from Konoha village was so weak that he entered Konoha village without any hindrance. If other villages were to attack by surprise, wouldn't they be directly destroyed? But for Lu Mu, arriving at Konoha village means that we are not far from the land of rain. As long as you follow the method last time, you can return to the Akatsuki organization in the land of rain in more than a week at most. But now that I have come to Konoha village, Then Ichiraku ramen, which I missed last time, is definitely not to be missed. Lu Mu searched briefly for a while and found the Ilaku ramen stall. Lu Mu sat in without hesitation. Boss, have some ramen. Good. The boss was happy about a business deal, but suddenly he saw that Lu Mu's appearance was exactly the same as the portrait in the store. My heart suddenly picked up. Even the hands making the ramen couldn't help but tremble. This is the man who almost destroyed Konoha village. Came here again. What is his goal? Is it the recipe for ramen, or is he attracted to his daughter? For a moment, Yil was so frightened that his whole body trembled. At this moment, a young man with yellow hair ran over. Standing on tiptoes, he held a lottery ticket and handed it over. Uncle, give me another ramen. Ichiraku was pulled back by the young man's voice, and said calmly, Naruto, it's a pity that this brother has to take away the last bowl of ramen. How about you come tomorrow? Upon hearing the news, Uzumaki Naruto showed a frustrated expression on his face. One hand touched his empty belly directly. All right. Lu Mu suddenly became interested. Uzumaki Naruto, this is it. The absolute protagonist of Hokage Ninja. He will be the absolute main force against Uchiha Madara and even Otsutsuki Kagaya in the future. Unexpectedly, it would appear in front of him now. And it's even smaller than in the anime. Your name is Uzumaki Naruto, right? Lu Mu said with a smile. Brother, do you know me? Uzumaki Naruto raised his head curiously and looked at Lu Mu in front of him seriously. Anbu, who was hiding outside, turned pale when he saw this scene. Hurry up and inform Master Hokage that Lu Mu's target this time is Uzumaki Naruto, who is 9 tails. His target is indeed 9 tails. Shimura Danzo said solemnly. 9 tails can be said to be the secret weapon of Konoha village. If 9 tails is directly summoned during a war, it can definitely cause a devastating blow to the enemy. Although other villages also have tailed beasts. But 9 tails is the strongest among the tailed beasts, and there must be no room for error. But this time the one he wanted to fight for turned out to be Lu Mu. The man who makes everyone in Konoha village afraid. Shimura Danzo didn't dare to offend him again. Little monkey, what do you think we should do? Just as Sarutobi Hiruzen was about to pick up his pipe and take a puff, he suddenly saw Azuki Shien staring at him with eager eyes and hurriedly hid it. I didn't smoke, I just smelled it. Azuki Shien glanced helplessly at Sarutobi Hiruzen. The older the child gets, the more uncontrollable he becomes. What should we do now? What else can we do? Call all the senior management and prepare to adapt accordingly. Okay, that's all. In the Ichiraku ramen stall, Lu Mu and Uzumaki Naruto were sitting side by side, eating ramen happily. Outside, more than a dozen Anbu members were waiting carefully and vigilantly. However, everyone was retreating in their hearts. After all, Lu Mu is too strong, and one ninjutsu is enough to destroy Konoha village. If we really want to fight him, Konoha will be the one injured. It's so delicious. Sure enough, the ramen here is the best here. Uzumaki Naruto patted his belly with satisfaction. I have never seen Yil so generous. Eat as much as you want. This was the first time Uzumaki Naruto had eaten so full. I guess you can skip breakfast tomorrow. At this time, Lu Mu also put down his chopsticks. Sure enough, the ramen recommended by Uzumaki Naruto was unique. Once you eat it you won't forget the taste. If you start a chain store, you will definitely make a lot of money. Boss, are you interested in opening a branch in the country of rain? Upon hearing Lu Mu's question, Yil trembled all over and even dropped the spoon he was holding. The heart was beating rapidly. The target of this monster is actually me. Yil was about to cry. I am just a ramen maker, how could I be attracted by this monster? What do you like about me? I can't change it. At this time, Anbu outside suddenly became energetic. Hurry up and inform Master Hokage that Lu Mu's target is Yil. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure immediately disappeared from the spot, preparing to hand over this important information to 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. What? The target is Ichiraku. In the meeting hall of the Hokage office building, everyone had puzzled expressions on their faces. Spending so much time just for a ramen chef. But everyone breathed a sigh of relief. After all, a dispensable ramen chef can be tolerated by everyone compared to 9 tails. The atmosphere suddenly relaxed a lot. But at this time Shimura Danzo became serious. He patted the table lightly with one hand. Do you really think things will be so simple? When Shimura Danzo's words came out, everyone was stunned for a moment, with doubtful expressions on their faces. Danzo, what do you mean? If you have something to say, just say it, don't be a bluff. Seeing everyone's reaction, Shimura Danzo showed a disappointed expression on his face. Do you really think that a powerful person like Lu Mu comes to Konoha just for a bowl of ramen? Or do you really think that this Ichiraku will be an ordinary person? After Shimura Danzo finished speaking, the entire meeting hall fell silent. Someone as strong as Lu Mu would never do anything meaningless. The person who can be won over by Lu Mu is definitely not an ordinary ramen chef. Maybe this La is also a powerful person like Lu Mu. Thinking of this, everyone secretly gave a thumbs up. As expected of Shimura Danzo, the root leader, he observes things so thoroughly. You can see the essence of the problem right away. I thought this pleasure was not simple before, and it seems that it is not groundless. During the Nine Tails Rebellion, everyone was rushing to escape, but Ichiraku was the only one who didn't panic. It seems that he has enough confidence in his own strength. Well, then it's easy to explain that Lu Mu came last time. He was definitely here to find Yale. Sarutobi Hiruzen panicked. I didn't expect that such a powerful person was hiding in Konoha village, and as a Hokage, I didn't know it at all. Fortunately, I didn't offend him before and didn't arrange for anyone to drive away his stall, otherwise Konoha would have ceased to exist long ago. I was derelict in my duty. Fortunately, Danzo found the key to the problem. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, Shimura Danzo showed a proud expression on his face. It's not for nothing that I became the root leader. Being able to discover Yiel's identity is definitely not an accident. What we should consider now is whether to win over Yiel or let Lu Mu do nothing. Isn't this Hinata-chan? Come here quickly, Ichiraku ramen can be eaten for free today. Uzumaki Naruto suddenly found Hyuga Hinata hiding not far away, and immediately waved his hand. Hyuga Hinata was immediately startled. His face instantly turned red. Unexpectedly, he was discovered and had to run away immediately. But when Hyuga Hinata took a step, she suddenly stopped. Then he lowered his head and walked step by step towards Uzumaki Naruto. I came here to eat free ramen, not to be with Naruto-kun. Hyuga Hinata cheered herself up in her heart, while walking towards Ichiraku ramen with his head lowered. But at this moment, someone suddenly blocked the way in front of him. Hyuga Hinata raised her head curiously. Are you Hyuga Hinata? You look really cute. Lu Mu said as he observed Hyuga Hinata. I have to say that Hyuga is indeed a child of a big family, with fair and smooth skin. Compared with Uzumaki Naruto, he doesn't look like a person of the same latitude at all. What made Lu Mu even more curious was the white eyes. Hinata, don't move, let me look at your eyes. Hyuga Hinata was very scared. But seeing Naruto Uzumaki's smiling face, his guard relaxed a lot. For a moment, he didn't even choose to run away. At this moment, Anbu, who was waiting outside, suddenly became commotion. Lu Mu's target is Hyuga Hinata, the Byakugan. Quick, inform Master Hokage immediately. At this time, in the meeting hall, Konoha's top management was having a profound discussion on whether Ichiraku should be roped in or allowed to develop. At this moment, the door of the conference hall was pushed open. Report, Lu Mu's target is Hyuga Hinata, its Byakugan. There was silence in the meeting hall for a while. Everyone turned their attention to Hyuga Hiyashi. Hyuga Hiyashi crossed his arms and looked calm, but his breathing gradually increased. Then slowly stood up. He picked up the chair with one hand and wanted to rush out. I fought that fool. Everyone was startled and hurried forward to stop Hyuga Hiyashi. If Hyuga Hiyashi were to rush out, the consequences would be absolutely disastrous. By then, Hyuga Hiyashi will not be the only one to die, but the entire Konoha village. Hiyashi, calm down, Hiruzen Sarutobi shouted angrily. I heard Sarutobi Hiruzen speak. Hyuga Hiyashi suppressed the anger in his heart and sat down. Hokage-sama, tell me what should we do? Hyuga Hiyashi is asking what to do though. But the tone was full of indubitability. He was obviously ready to fight to the death. Seeing that Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't answer for a long time, Shimura Danzo shook his head helplessly. This fool little monkey stopped talking at this time. It seems that I still have to be the bad guy. Chief Hiyashi, at this time we should focus on the overall situation. The overall situation is more important. Do you mean to give up on Hinata? Give up on Byakugan? Hyuga Hiyashi's breathing became more and more rapid. The fair skin has completely turned red because of anger. For the sake of the village, it is inevitable to make some sacrifices. Shimura Danzo said calmly. The death sentence of Hyuga Hinata was completely pronounced. Hyuga Hiyashi sneered, then turned to look at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen remain silent, I instantly understood what the two of them meant. Hyuga Hinata was abandoned. However, as the leader of the Hyuga clan and the father of Hyuga Hinata, Hyuga Hiyashi is not ready to give up. No matter what your decision is, I will never give up on my daughter. Hyuga Hiyashi stood up immediately as he spoke. He walked outside with a cold face. Shimura Danzo's eyes flashed with haze, and he said coldly to the ninja beside him, "Stop him." For a moment, several ninjas blocked Hyuga Hiyashi's way. Everyone puts their hands on the ninja tool, and as soon as Hyuga Hiyashi makes a move, they will take action immediately. Chief Hiyashi, please don't embarrass us. Want to stop me? It depends on whether you have the ability. Hyuga Hiyashi, you are so presumptuous. For personal gain, you want to push the entire village into the abyss. Danzo Shimura slammed the table angrily and shouted. Personal interests. Last time it was for the village. My brother died. This time I will never back down. Lu Mu checked Hyuga Hinata's eyes, secretly praising the magic of the ninja world. It's obviously white-eye disease, so why can I see more and more clearly than others? At this moment, there was a violent explosion not far away. Lu Mu quickly stopped. He looked over curiously. For a while, thick smoke kept coming out. Isn't that the direction of the Hokage office building? It was attacked. It seems that Konoha is really weak. Lu Mu just finished speaking. Anbu, who was not far away, trembled all over, with a look of horror in his eyes. Inform Master Hokage quickly. Lu Mu's target is our entire Konoha village. Report. Lu Mu's target is our Konoha. Following Anbu's announcement, the meeting hall fell completely silent. Even Hyuga Hiyashi, who was fighting, stopped. Everyone's faces showed expressions of despair. As expected, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled bitterly and shook his head. A master like Lu Mu, wanting to take over the fire country is like searching for something. He can definitely do it if he wants to. At first it was just the worst guess. But I didn't expect it to be true. Could Anbu have misunderstood? After all, no matter how strong Lu Mu is, he can't just manage the village. Nara asked with frowning eyebrows. Impossible, Anbu is the most elite team, there is absolutely no way they could get it wrong. Hiruzen Sarutobi shook his head and said. Deep down in my heart I really hope I am mistaken. But Anbu's professionalism is far beyond what ordinary ninjas can match. In terms of obtaining information, he is more professional than ordinary ninjas. Keywords can be obtained from the enemy's sentences in various ways. So it is absolutely impossible to get it wrong. Hyuga Hiyashi sneered and directly found a chair and sat down. He looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen as if he were a clown. So now is it time to fight or to hand over power? Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo frowned. If Lu Mu wants Konoha village, he will directly face the Hokage and the root leader. On the contrary, it was others because they needed to manage the village. Maybe there won't be any changes. Others might even want Lu Mu to become a Hokage. After all, the strength of Konoha village is now at its lowest point in history, and the other four major countries have been eyeing the fertile land of the fire country. If Lu Mu became Hokage, then the Kingdom of Fire will reach its peak again, and any country that dares to covet the Kingdom of Fire will pay the price. Then Konoha's management will also rise accordingly. Mom, Shion, what do you think we should do? Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Uazuki Shion for help. In these 3 lives, Hiruzen Sarutobi would go to his mother whenever he encountered difficulties. Although now back to the ninja world, Uazuki Shion is no longer the mother of Sarutobi Hiruzen, but the habit of 3 lives and 3 lives cannot be changed. Mao Yu Shion's face became serious. Sarutobi Hiruzen came to ask for help, indicating that he was really desperate. And his own words may determine the direction of Konoha village. Suddenly I felt pressure, like a mountain pressing down on me. After pondering for a long time, Azuki Shion took a deep breath and looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen seriously. Xiao Fei, I want to meet him and see what she wants. Okay, I agree. I also agree with what Auntie said. Mao Shion nodded slightly, and then walked out with heavy steps. Can we see him ahead? Azuki Shion looked at Ichiraku Ramen with mixed emotions. Even though I was afraid to see Lu Mu, I was very looking forward to it. After all, Lu Mu has been his significant other for decades. Mao Shion knew every bit of Lu Mu's body clearly. But Mao Shion was scared. I was afraid that it was all genjutsu, that the man in front of me was not the same person as my significant other. Finally, Mao Shion mustered up the courage and walked up step by step. I opened the curtain of Ichiraku Ramen and saw that familiar face. I heard someone coming in. Lu Mu turned his head subconsciously, but when he saw Mao Shion's face, he was immediately startled. Anbu, the most mysterious team in Konoha village, specifically handles some special events. The appearance of Anbu means that he is being targeted. As long as one person appears, it means there are several people hiding around. As long as you give an order, countless people will appear from all directions to subdue you. As for Mao Shion's face, Lu Mu had seen it last time. Looks like it's time to go. Lu Mu quickly got down from the chair and raised his collar to completely cover his face. Boss pays. Today's anniversary event, all ramen orders are free. Just kidding, Yale wouldn't dare accept money from this devil. Lu Mu didn't want to get entangled, so he quickly lowered his head and walked out. Wait, are you afraid to see me? Mao Yuexi looked at Lu Mu tenderly, but Lu Mu had no intention of looking back. But Mao Shion clearly felt Lu Mu's trembling. This man still remembers himself. This lovesickness is not one-sided, but mutual. Could it be that his real purpose in coming to Konoha is me? Suddenly a feeling of happiness spread from the bottom of my heart to my whole body. I could not wait to rush forward and hug Lu Mu to keep him. But I can't. Since this man left in such a hurry, it meant that it was not convenient for him to have a showdown. There are still things that must be done. As a woman and Lu Mu's solid backing, I must not hold back at this time. So I can only choose to watch him leave. Lu Mu ran quickly and finally breathed a sigh of relief when no one caught up with him. I'm going. I was scared to death, but luckily I ran fast. Chapter 71. Finally home. There was a glint in Lu Mu's eyes, and he looked excitedly at the land of rain where the rain kept falling in the distance. After several months, I finally returned to the land of rain. I have to say that it is really torture without a navigation to guide the way. Go back to your house and push away gently. Looking at the spotless appearance of the house, a warm feeling arose in my heart. Especially the breakfast on the table made Lu Mu even more moved. It turns out that everyone has not forgotten me and has been waiting for me to come back. Lu Mu observed his home step by step. Every detail is full of memories. Although I haven't lived there for too long, this is my first home in the ninja world after all. Lu Mu came to his bedroom. Since it wasn't completely light yet and the curtains were closed, the whole room was pitch black. Even Lu Mu has not fully adapted. However, Lu Mu had no intention of opening Sharingan, and instead walked towards his bed in the dark. Finally back to my own bed. Lu Mu kicked off his shoes and lay down directly. After parting ways with Jiraiya and Tsunade, Lu Mu hadn't slept on such a soft bed for a long time. When I lay down on it, I felt that the fatigue from the whole night disappeared immediately. Especially the familiar fragrance filled Lu Mu with memories. Suddenly Lu Mu became energetic. I am a grown man, where does the fragrance come from? But why is it so familiar? Lu Mu hurriedly smelled it again and finally recalled it. This smell only appears when you are on the road. And every time I'm on the road, there's always someone there. Conan. Only then did Lu Mu react. When I went out, I locked the door, so how could I clean it so well? Except for the ninja who climbed through the window, there was absolutely no one else. And there is hot breakfast on the table. Lu Mu's whole body shook and he quickly wanted to escape. But suddenly a jade arm stretched out and grabbed Lu Mu directly. Master, you are finally back. Do you want to take a shower first, have breakfast first, or? Suddenly Lu Mu had goosebumps all over his body. Quickly open your Sharingan. The originally dark room suddenly became clear. Sure enough, Conan was lying on his bed, and the red cloud and black coat was at his feet. Who can bear this? At this moment, the door of the room suddenly opened, and as a ray of sunlight shone in, Payne's figure appeared. Senior Liu, Anbu just told you to reply. You continue. Lu Mu twitched his lips, quickly shook off Conan's arm and ran out. At this time, Payne's face was filled with self-blame. I'm sorry, Senior Liu, I shouldn't have been so rash, I should have knocked on the door first. Lu Mu's mouth twitched. Knock on the door. I'm afraid I'll just use planetary devastation directly. Just bring the Kingdom of Rain with you. Lu Mu quickly took a deep breath to calm down. Actually, I just came back. I didn't expect you to come. Payne felt even more guilty after hearing Lu Mu's words. Lu Mu joined the Akatsuki organization and traveled around for the entire ninja world. But I just arrived home and wanted to take a good rest and relax myself. But he came to disturb me. Payne hated himself, why his body was like this, and why he couldn't go out and work hard for the Akatsuki organization and the world. Senior Liu, thank you. Lu Mu was stunned for a moment and became confused. Why should Payne thank himself? Did something happen? At this time, Uchiha Obito, not far away, looked solemnly at Lu Mu's house. I'm finally back. The last time Uchiha Obito returned to the Land of Rain, Black Zetsu came over and gave orders. Regardless of whether Lu Mu is really strong or just a facade, he must be dealt with. Because Lu Mu appeared, the entire Akatsuki organization is crooked. Everyone is working hard for the 6th largest country. In just a few months, there are already several ninja villages willing to join the Rain country. Just wait until all the small countries agree and announce it together. Once the 6th great nation is established, the Akatsuki organization will not rush to collect tailed beasts. Then the Eye of the Moon plan will completely come to naught. Compared to Heizetsu's concerns, Uchiha Obito had a bit more murderous intent in his heart. At that time, in the country of Kawawa, I was unknowingly hit by Lu Mu's genjutsu. I met Yuan Yelin, who had been dead for many years. This is definitely his biggest setback. But I can make myself, who possesses the Sharingan, fall victim to genjutsu without knowing it. This shows that Lu Mu's genjutsu has reached its peak. There is only one way to deal with Lu Mu. That's the tailed beast. The Jinchuriki who can perfectly control tailed beasts. I can finally meet Senior Liu. Fortunately, I didn't go on a mission, otherwise I would have regretted it to death. In the Akatsuki organization's conference room, several ninjas wearing red clouds and black coats rubbed their hands excitedly. Just waiting for someone to show up. That is the spiritual leader of the Akatsuki organization. The man who is willing to sacrifice everything for the ninja world. Lu Mu. The most exciting one among them is definitely Scorpio. It can be said that Lu Mu joined the Akatsuki organization entirely because of that battle. Without that battle, Conan would not have extended an invitation to Lu Mu. After all, Lu Mu is too low-key. Genin has always used his strength to meet people. It is easy for ordinary people to ignore him. Compared to others, Scorpion's face had a hint of pride. Because here, he is the only follower Lu Mu promised to accept. Even as a slave of Conan. It was also imposed by Conan, and it was impossible to count. Scorpion, is that Senior Liu really that powerful? Orochimaru asked in a low voice. Orochimaru has some resentment towards Lu Mu. The main purpose of infiltrating the Akatsuki organization was to find out Lu Mu's true identity and strength. But his teammate Xie is just like Lu Muchui. The content of the speech is too unreal. What immortal comes to the world, the boundless great fireball? Is it possible? This is impossible. After waiting for several months, Lu Mu is finally back. Orochimaru couldn't wait to figure out Lu Mu and then go back to do his own research. At this time, Payne slowly walked in from outside the door. Suddenly the conference room became completely quiet. It boiled the next second. The man who always appeared in the picture album appeared. Senior Liu, it's me. My name is Loquat Juzang. Senior Liu, can you sign it for me and put it on my clothes? Senior Liu, I want to give birth to a monkey for you. Lu Mu looked at everyone below with his mouth twitching. How are these ninjas? They are just a group of starstruck people. And it's also kind of fanatical. Lu Mu began to regret in his heart why he agreed to Payne to come to this meeting. Senior Liu, These are all outstanding members who spontaneously joined the Akatsuki organization after hearing your stories. Pain explained enthusiastically. Lu Emu's mouth twitched. What stories have you heard about me? And the more I look at it, the more it looks like a pyramid scheme. I still have a chance to leave now. Pain raised his hands to signal for silence, and then continued. I think many of you who joined the Akatsuki organization were moved by the deeds of Senior Lu. Now we are honored to invite Senior Lu to answer your questions. Quote. Pain said as he took out a large cardboard box and placed it in front of Lu Mu. Senior Lu, please draw a random note. Lu Emu's face was full of doubts, but he still put his hand in obediently. Then a note was taken out. It has the words Uchiha Itachi written on it. Congratulations to our outstanding team member Uchiha Itachi for successfully qualifying to ask questions. Uchiha Itachi had a flattered expression on his face. People around him looked over with envy. Excuse me, what is Lu Senpai's wish? Uchiha Itachi asked seriously. At this time, Lu Emu's mind had become a mess. Hearing Uchiha Itachi's question, he answered directly without even thinking, world peace. Uchiha Itachi shuddered. Through his own eyes, he discovered that Lu Mu was not lying. I want world peace from the bottom of my heart. It's such a pure idea. For a moment Uchiha Itachi began to blame himself. At first I heard that Lu Mu wanted to form a 6th grade nation. I always thought that Lu Mu wanted power and wanted to control the entire ninja world. But today I saw Lu Mu so determined. An answer that comes straight from the heart. Uchiha Itachi knew he was wrong. No matter which path Lu Mu wants to take, his goal is to achieve real peace in the world. And want to make the world truly peaceful. The only way is to make the ninja world a country. Uchiha Itachi decided secretly in his heart. You must always stay in the Akatsuki organization and accompany the Akatsuki organization to witness the arrival of world peace. As expected of Senior Lu, I have learned a lesson. After Uchiha Itachi finished speaking, Pain placed the cardboard box in front of Lu Mu again. Lu Mu put his hand in helplessly. After rummaging for a long time, he pulled out a piece of paper. Orochimaru. Congratulations Orochimaru for getting the qualification to ask questions. Friends from the Fire Country are a little lucky today. Orochimaru looked a little surprised. But soon a smirk appeared on his face. Jungcho didn't know how to investigate Lu Emu's information, but unexpectedly he got the opportunity to ask questions. At least we need to find out first how strong Lu Mu is. Senior Lu, how strong are you? Compared to the god of ninja, who is stronger? Lu Mu suddenly panicked. Orochimaru's question was really tricky. If you lie, you can basically tell at a glance as there are so many high IQs below. But if you don't lie, you will be exposed in no time. There are several shadow levels below, and you can solve yourself in an instant. There wasn't even a chance to escape. For a moment, Lu Mu scratched his hair anxiously. Orochimaru, who was waiting for Lu Emu's answer below, suddenly noticed the mark on the back of Lu Emu's neck. Suddenly Orochimaru shuddered. The heart was beating rapidly. Servant mark. Orochimaru saw this mark in an ancient book when he was practicing in Raichi Cave. Only rishis offer their souls. A slave contract can be achieved through a series of complicated means. That is to say, at least one immortal willingly became Lu Emu's slave. To know, once you become a slave, your life will completely fall into the hands of the other party. Even ordinary people would not let others control their lives. Not to mention the immortal. You must know that even the god of ninja, Senju Hashirama, has no ability to enslave a sage. So one can imagine Lu Emu's strength. Although Lu Mu said nothing, he proved everything. As expected of Senior Lu. Orochimaru nodded respectfully, and then sat down. In my heart, I made up my mind. No matter what, you can't be Lu Emu's enemy. As for Shimura Danzo's mission, get lost. Lu Emu's existence is not something that he can offend. Even the Kingdom of Fire cannot offend Lu Mu. Otherwise, no one can bear Lu Emu's anger. Orochimaru, did Senior Lu answer you? Shie couldn't bear the curiosity in his heart and asked anxiously. Everyone turned their heads, waiting for Orochimaru's answer. Orochimaru smiled mysteriously. Although Senior Lu didn't say anything, he actually said everything. I'm very sorry that I asked such a question. Everyone looked at Orochimaru in shock. Senju Hashirama is not worthy to compare with Lu Mu. You must know that Senju Hashirama is the strongest person except Sage of Six Paths. But he is such a strong man. According to Orochimaru, he is not even qualified to compare with Lu Mu. So how strong is Lu Mu? No one knows, because Lu Mu's strength has completely exceeded everyone's understanding. Suddenly, everyone felt a little more respectful towards Lu Mu. Uchiha Obito stared at Orochimaru dumbfounded. Uchiha Obito knows that Orochimaru is a very conceited and arbitrary person. You will never speak nonsense based on your own ideas just because of a person's strength or weakness. But Orochimaru actually gave such a high evaluation. A being who transcends the ninja god. Does such a man really exist? But Uchiha Obito quickly reacted. Although Orochimaru said that Senju Hashirama couldn't compare with Lu Mu, he didn't say it was about strength. After all, under Z's observation, except for Genjutsu, Lu Mu was mediocre in other aspects. So what Orochimaru said is only benevolence and justice. After all, he keeps sacrificing himself for world peace, which even Uchiha Obito can't help but secretly admire. If it weren't for being unable to escape from Uchiha Madara's control, maybe he will follow Lu Mu to fight for world peace. Seeing everyone's odd expressions, Lu Mu became speechless. I didn't seem to answer anything. Why did I understand everything? Can you tell me the answer? Otherwise, I will look stupid. Fan Q&A continues. These are all insignificant questions. Lu Mu answered with ease. And just when the last lucky audience member was drawn, the name on the note made Lu Mu frown. Hooligan. Pain looked at Uchiha Obito warily. If it weren't for being in full public view, Pain would have wanted to tear the piece of paper into pieces. Because this man named Afei is really too dangerous. Even if I have the reincarnation eye, I can't see through this man. Moreover, the policy he proposed before was too radical and contradicted Lu Mu's policy. Let Uchiha Obito ask questions, maybe something will happen. Uchiha Obito showed a surprised expression. Unexpectedly, the last spot was drawn to me. I even wondered for a while whether I heard it wrong. But now that he has this opportunity, Uchiha Obito will never give up. But Uchiha Obito was not prepared to ask questions about Lu Mu. But I want Lu Mu to be like a saint. Help answer a question in your mind. Then Uchiha Madara took a deep breath to calm down completely. Senior Lu, I have a friend who watched the woman he loved being killed by his best brother Shi. Should he forgive his brother or take revenge for the one he loves? Have a friend. Lu Mu couldn't help but burst into laughter. Sure enough, we are just human beings. No matter which world or dimension we are in, there will always be such a mysterious friend. And Lu Mu doesn't know how to answer other questions, so he's just talking nonsense. But Lu Mu really knows about Uchiha Obito. Hitoki Kakashi used Reikiri to kill Hirano Lin. But Ju has always been hiding in the corner. Lu Mu didn't dare to speak too clearly. What you see with your eyes may not be true. Lu Mu pretended to be a worldly expert. What you see with your eyes may not be real. Uchiha Obito looked at Lu Mu doubtfully. Lu Mu nodded quickly, looking forward to Uchiha Obito's sudden awakening. Although Nohara Rin was stabbed in the heart by Hitoki Kakashi Reikiri and died. But in fact, this was Nohara Rin's initiative. Because Nohara Rin's heart was equipped with a special device by Uchiha Madara. Once installed, it is controlled forever. The only way to disarm the device is to instantly break it with the Thunder Chakra. Although it failed, but Hitoki Kakashi is also a victim this time. Always bear the curse of murdering his companions. Lu Mu waited for a long time, but Uchiha Obito didn't seem to wake up. On the contrary, his eyebrows furrowed even more. I go. My reminder is clear enough. Heiju will jump out and fight if he continues. Why can't you use your brain more like other people? Could it be that my reminder was not clear enough? I'll go, Lu Mu whispered to himself. At this moment, Uchiha Obito immediately raised his head and looked at Lu Mu with one eye. Senior Lu, are you willing to help me solve the problem? Lu Mu's mouth twitched. When have I ever said this? I'll go, is just an interjection, not that I'm going to deal with this matter. Senior Lu is indeed very righteous. As expected of Senior Lu. Senior Lu, you are my beacon, guiding my way forward. For a moment, everyone looked at Lu Mu with admiration. Even Orochimaru and Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but nod for Lu Mu. Before this, there is a task that I have to ask Senior Lu to do. Suddenly a man half black and half white walked out. He glared at Uchiha Obito, and then looked at Lu Mu fawningly. Loquat Juzo's hometown is currently in hell, and the fourth Mizukage is constantly tormenting the entire Water Kingdom. Now there is a rebel army that wants to resist the rule of the fourth Mizukage. If Senior Lu can help the rebels, he can not only save the villagers of the Water Kingdom, but also win the goodwill of the next Mizukage. It can be said that killing two birds with one stone will be a problem. Let's talk about it. It seems that as long as Lu Mu goes, he can successfully overthrow the fourth Mizukage regime. You can get the support of the next Mizukage. Lu Mu frowned, feeling very reluctant to go. Kisame Kazaki has not yet come to the Akatsuki organization, which means that the Kingdom of Water is in a state of blood mist at this time. In the past, the only option was to die. Moreover, the fourth Mizukage Godachibana Yagura can perfectly control the tailed beast transformation. After turning on the tail beast transformation, it's like losing your mind and going crazy. The possibility of trying to scare him with special effects is really slim. Ding dong. Accept the mission and go to the Kingdom of Water. Reward: 10% arousal. Mysterious reward. Rewards are calculated based on completion. Cannot go. Uchiha Obito wants to stop Lu Mu. Because Guju Yagura is currently under control. After arriving at the Kingdom of Water, the person who greets Lu Mu will definitely not be the rebels, it will definitely be Anbu from Kurigakure village. No matter how strong Lu Mu is, if you encounter an attack from the entire country, you may have a narrow escape. But Uchiha Obito was halfway talking. Suddenly he was pressed down. Fei, you are just an intern of the Akatsuki organization. You'd better stop meddling in the affairs of a full member. Uchiha Obito clenched his fists angrily. I don't care whether Lu Mu dies or not. But the answer Lu Mu gave just now always feels like it has some special meaning. Therefore, Lu Mu cannot die. At least he can't die yet. But there was nothing Uchiha Obito could do. The device on his heart makes him unable to fight against death. It's so easy to kill yourself. Uchiha Obito could only remind Lu Mu with his eyes. Okay, I'll go. Who is my contact person? For a moment, Ju felt ecstatic. If Lu Mu refuses, all the arrangements will be in vain. Now that Lu Mu has agreed, then I have countless ways to kill Lu Mu. Then Ju took out a scroll from his sleeve and handed it to Lu Mu respectfully with both hands. Lu Mu opened the scroll without hesitation. Terumi Mei. How long will it take? Lu Mu asked boredly. After leaving the country of rain, we arrived at the seaside after several days' journey, and then boarded a big ship and drove for several days. Although I didn't get lost during this trip. But being on a boat is extremely boring, and it is far less interesting than walking alone. It's almost time. We'll reach the Kingdom of Water in about half an hour. Loquat Juzang said excitedly. Being able to go to the Kingdom of Water with Lu Mu made Loquat Juzang excited for several days. And this time we go to the Land of Water. The purpose was to liberate Kurigakure village, which made Loquat Juzang even more excited. Who is Lu Mu after all? That is an existence beyond the immortals, and it is not easy to deal with Guju Yagura. Loquat Juzo has even seen the scene where the Akatsuki organization and the Kingdom of Water made friends. Lu Mu smiled bitterly and looked at Loquat Juzang. In the Hokage plot, Loquat Juzo was killed after returning to Kurigakure village. Maybe it's this time. I don't know how happy he is. At this moment, several figures suddenly appeared on the sea full of thick fog, driving towards him. Loquat Juzang frowned. The agreed place should not have arrived yet. Why are there so many ships? At this moment, countless figures jumped off the boat Shadow, and then ran towards him quickly. No, Senior Lu, this is not the ship to pick us up, and their target is us. Loquat Juzo said worriedly. Although I have always heard about Lu Mu's deeds, I have never really seen Lu Mu's methods. Especially at sea. The enemy does not need to defeat Lu Mu at all, he only needs to sink the ship. No matter how powerful the ninja is, he still looks very small in the eyes of the sea. One wave can sink it. Senior Lu, get ready to fight. Loquat Juzang said and drew out his beheading sword. Although he was once one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, he seemed very powerless when facing so many enemies. That many ninjas can overturn the ship with just one ninjutsu each. At this moment, a rapid splash of water came out. Several water dragons had long mouths and attacked straight towards the ship. Due to the terrain, the water dragon bomb in front of him was twice as big as the water dragon bomb on land. Just give the boat a few gentle bumps. It can be broken into pieces in an instant, and finally fall into the sea to feed the fish. For a moment, Loquat Juzo was desperate. At first, I fantasized that it might be a misunderstanding, and that the misunderstanding would be resolved just by meeting. But now the other party can't even see him clearly. Then he started to use water dragon bombs to attack. It shows that the other party's purpose is very clear, and it is towards you. How did they know we would come today? After nearly a year of hard work, the task allocation system within the Akatsuki organization has become very formal. Any ninja after receiving the mission. The contents of the mission are kept confidential. After receiving the mission, it will be sealed immediately. Even Pain can only know a rough idea before it is sent to the ninjas. Only the ninja who accepts the mission can know the specific information of the mission. Now that the arrival time is calculated, it means that someone has leaked the mission content. Explain that there is a mole within the Akatsuki organization. And this traitor wants to kill Lu Mu. For a moment, Loquat Juzang had an angry expression on his face. It doesn't matter if you die. But if Lu Mu dies, it will definitely be a loss for the entire ninja world. Senior Lu, hurry up and go to Wuyin village, the people there need you. After Loquat Juzang said that, he wanted to jump off the boat to buy Lu Mu time. But just as he was about to jump, Lu Mu held him back. Ninjas rely on their brains to fight. There is already such a big fog on the sea. As long as they cast another mist hidden technique, they can find a ghost. After Lu Mu finished speaking, he began to use the mist hidden technique. Loquat Juzang smiled bitterly. For ninjas from other ninja villages, Kurigakure can indeed block their sight and then take the opportunity to run away. But these are all ninjas from Kurigakure village. I have been running in the fog since I was a child, and I have long been accustomed to the fog. Even in the fog, it is stronger than in other environments. When Lu Mu used the mist hidden technique, only his own eyes could be covered. Just when Loquat Juzang picked up the beheading sword and prepared to fight to the death, he suddenly discovered something strange about the mist. There seems to be some great terror hidden in this plain mist. Just take one step forward. It feels like you will be completely trapped in it and you will never be able to extricate yourself. For a moment, Loquat Juzang was sweating coldly. He hesitated for a long time and said, "Is this the hidden mist technique?" Mist hidden technique. Doesn't this person show that he doesn't die quickly enough? Hidden Mist Village Anbu sneered, then looked at the members of his team. But when he turned around to look, he saw that the members who were not far away had disappeared, leaving only a vast expanse of white. Hidden Mist Village Anbu frowned. I didn't expect that this Kurigakure technique was so powerful and could engulf the ninja in an instant. But Kurigakure Anbu was not in a hurry. Because the first lesson the ninjas of Kurigakure village learn is to sense the enemy's position in the fog. And there is a special ninjutsu in Team Anbu. It allows members of the team to sense each other and know each other's location. Immediately, Anbu from Kurigakure village hurriedly activated chakra. Find the location of your teammates. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. The ninjutsu I performed by myself was like a stone sinking into the sea without any feedback. And a surprising discovery. There was no sound around. This is on the sea. No matter how quiet it is, the sound of the constantly crashing waves cannot stop. But at this moment there was a deathly silence. Look down. The originally undulating sea surface also disappeared at this time. It also turned into a vast expanse of white. It's like stepping on clouds. Kurigakure village Anbu panicked. Is this Kurigakure jutsu? No, this is definitely a very powerful genjutsu. But when did I get genjutsu? You know, if you want the opponent to hit genjutsu, you must perform hypnosis through a certain medium. But he didn't even see what the other party looked like. How did you win genjutsu? Hateful. Kurigakure Anbu roared angrily, then took out a kunai and stabbed himself in the leg. As long as it is genjutsu, it can be easily released if you feel the pain. This is the most basic common sense in the ninja world. The kunai stabbed into the leg, and blood continued to flow out. The heartbreaking pain also began to stimulate the brain nerves. Finally, genjutsu is broken. The vast white world finally has some other colors. The sea surface under the feet has also returned to its original appearance. But just when Anbu was enjoying himself in the hidden mist village, he suddenly found that there were several more ninjas around, looking at him eagerly. When hidden mist village, Anbu's heart beat rapidly. Unexpectedly, the enemy had already lurked around him unknowingly. If not for the timely destruction of Genjutsu, maybe your life will be harvested like leeks. There's still no response. They were all assassinated. Hidden mist village. Anbu became angry. Anbu from Kurigakure village was assassinated during the Kurigakure technique. If this gets out, it's absolutely embarrassing. But since I have defeated Genjutsu, these guys in front of me will definitely pay the price. The battle begins. Kurigakure Anbu used his special skills. Ninjutsu and Taijutsu were perfectly matched. Kill the enemies in front of you one after another. These enemies seem strange though. Most of the ninjas seemed to be stupid, standing there blankly and letting themselves harvest. Some people are fighting each other, although some of the remaining ninjas will resist. But the taijutsu and ninjutsu used by ninjas seem to belong to Kurigakure village. There are even moves for a few people, like one's best friend. Finally, there were no more enemies in front of him, and the dense fog gradually faded. But when the fog completely disappeared, when he saw the scene in front of him, Anbu was completely dumbfounded. The target ship has disappeared. Around him, the seawater was completely dyed red with blood. There are countless remnants floating on the sea, all from their own teammates. For a moment, Kurigakure Anbu looked at his hands stained with blood, and finally understood at this moment. The enemies that I just killed were all my teammates, my life and death teammates. The densely packed wreckage on the sea are all your own masterpieces. Hidden Mist Village. Anbu understood the power of the enemy he faced. Simply a ninjutsu. A dozen ninjas were eliminated in an instant. Let more than a dozen brothers, who have been through life and death, fight to the death. Such a ninja, if he enters Kurigakure village, will definitely cause a bloody storm, and even change the political power. But I can't stop it now. At this time, Lu Mu was standing on the deck, and when he saw that there were no pursuers behind him, his face suddenly became proud. Did you see Juzu? Ninja fighting depends on the brain. Fortunately, I used the Kurigakure technique in time to escape so smoothly. Loquat Juzang's mouth twitched. Run, they are the ones running, right? Why are you the only one back? Goji Yagura slapped the table angrily, making the whole office tremble. 4 Anbu groups, a total of 16 elite Anbu. Only one person came back alive. How could Goju Yagura accept this? How many people are there in total, and what are their strengths? Goji Yagura took a deep breath to calm down. But the anger in his heart could not be calmed down for a long time. This is definitely an intelligence issue. It was clearly stated that only 2 ninjas would arrive. But to be able to kill 15 elite Anbu in one go, there must be an absolute advantage in numbers. Otherwise, Anbu, which occupies a favorable location in Kurigakure village, would not even have time to run away. I don't know, they all died suddenly. Anbu lowered his head deeply. 15 Anbu masters died without even seeing the appearance of the enemy. This is absolutely embarrassing. Goji Yagura almost spit out a mouthful of blood. 15 elite Anbu died, and they didn't even know who the enemy was. Then why did you come back? Why didn't you just die there? Hurriedly Goju Yagura shook his head. This small team can absolutely be trusted, both in terms of loyalty and strength. But just such a team was almost completely wiped out. Could it be? For a moment, Goju Yagura had a look of fear on his face. It can kill more than a dozen elite Anbu without leaving a trace, unless there are several times as many enemies. But with so many enemies, they should be able to be discovered from a distance. Or the enemy's strength is very high. It has the presence of 5 major national film level. Moreover, he is also a strong person in physical skills, and his speed is different from ordinary people. Otherwise, the noise caused by using ninjutsu will definitely disturb others. Then the most likely enemy is Hokage of Cloud Hidden Village. It turns out that the intelligence received said that a powerful enemy was attacking, and it was I from Union Village. It turns out to be I from Union Village. I can't sit still. Send the order. The enemy this time is Union Village. We have officially declared war on Union Village. Kurigakure Village. Anbu suddenly woke up. It turns out that the enemy this time is Union Village, so it will be fine. With the sacrifice of 15 people, such important information was obtained. This is definitely a meritorious service. If the conspiracy in Union Village can be solved, it will be worth it no matter how many people die. Shazang, please take a look again. Is the agreed place here, or are we late? Lu Mu asked anxiously. After all, I am in Kurigakure Village. And he had just been ambushed. If I can't connect with Terumime, I will be beaten to death sooner or later if I am unfamiliar with the place. At this time, Loquat Juzang's face was full of anxiety. No matter the time or place, it is exactly the same as what is written on the scroll. The only difference is that the docking person did not appear. If there is no safe hiding place, it will be a matter of time before Anbu discovers him. At this moment, a bell rang in Kurigakure Village. The sound of the bell was very rapid, giving people an inexplicable sense of tension. Hear the bell, Loquat Juzang couldn't help but tremble. As a member of the 7 ninja swordsmen, Juzang Loquat is naturally very familiar with the sound of the bell. Familiarity is familiar, but this bell cannot be sounded easily. Whenever the bell rings, it means something great has happened. And this time it was so urgent. It means that the entire Kurigakure village has been endangered. The bell sounded so urgently that there were only 2 possibilities. The first is to launch a national war. Mizukage needs to summon all Kurigakure ninjas to launch an attack on hostile countries. The second is that there are existences capable of destroying Kurigakure village. Generally speaking, only those who come from the 5 major countries can receive such treatment. For a moment, Loquat Juzang looked at Lu Mu with admiration. Unexpectedly, Lu Mu just cast a ninjutsu, and Kurigakure village had such a big reaction. It directly brought Lu Mu to the film level. But this is not good news for myself. After all, everything in Kurigakure village is now full of soldiers. The alert force increased several times in an instant, which was very detrimental to the execution of the mission. If you stay in one place for a long time, it's easy to be discovered by Anbu. So instead of waiting passively, it is better to take the initiative. Senior Lu, we can't wait here any longer. I happen to know the address of Terumi Mei's home. Let's go directly to her door. Lu Mu nodded helplessly. After all, I am not familiar with the place here, so it is better to follow Loquat Juzang's advice. The bells are ringing, why don't you forget to monitor me? Terumi Mei smiled coquettishly, glanced at the trees outside, and then sat directly on the lounge chair. Since the 4th Mizukage Goju Yagura came to power, he has been suppressed as a big family. Goju Yagura is one of the rare civilians in Kurigakure village and even the entire ninja world to sit on the shadow. As soon as he came to power, the status of civilians rose instantly. This does not have much impact on the major families in Hidden Mist village. But since the 3 ninja battles, Goju Yagura seems to have become a different person. Increase efforts to squeeze the major families. Let ninjas from big families participate in extremely dangerous missions, while civilian ninjas only need to complete some simple tasks. For a time, the death rate of ninjas in large families increased significantly. Although the major families also resisted, the retaliation they received was even greater. One of the major families in Kurigakure village, the Minazuki clan and the Teru Yoruichi clan were all banned. Neither fearful nor cruel. As a big family, Terumime has naturally attracted attention. Especially after gathering a large number of followers, Anbu has been stationed outside the house all year round. Terumime was very unhappy about all this. After all, as a woman, she is under surveillance 24 hours a day, and it is okay to eat and drink. What about taking a shower and sleeping? How can I go out to find a boyfriend and get married in the future? For a moment, Terumime was so angry that she picked up the kunai and threw it outside. When Loquat Juzo blocked the flying kunai with his decapitating sword, a trace of cold sweat broke out on his forehead. I was observing Terumime as an ally, and I was completely unprepared. But I didn't expect that Terumime would suddenly throw a kunai. If he hadn't reacted quickly, he would have died directly. It seems that Terumime regards us as enemies. We must contact her to clear up the misunderstanding. Lu Mu touched his chin and said. After thinking for a few seconds, I finally decided to throw the note in. But the content of the note is crucial. If you write too straightforwardly, if Anbu gets it, you will not only expose yourself, but also harm Terumime. But if it is written too simply, If Terumi-mei does not understand, then it will not achieve its purpose. Finally, Lu Mu's eyes lit up. He quickly wrote the note, tied it to the kunai, and threw it out subconsciously. Terumi-mei drank tea leisurely. Hearing the noise outside, there was an impatient expression on his face. Then a sound of a kunai being thrown was heard. There was a sneer on his face. Although he has been hiding in the house and letting Anbu monitor him. But this does not mean that I am a ball of dough and can be kneaded by them. And listen to the noise just now. The ninja who throws kunai should only have the strength of Chunin. Terumi-mei was very unhappy that she dared to provoke her like this. Then Terumi-mei turned her head with murderous intent. But when she saw the scene in front of her, Terumi-mei was dumbfounded. There were dense kunai in front of me, coming like a heavy rainstorm. Under such a dense kunai, any escape is pale. Because it has no dead ends at all. Any angle is within the attack range of kunai. And every kunai is tied with something. It definitely looks like a detonating talisman. Terumi-mei smiled bitterly. If you don't have a detonating charm, you can still use ninjutsu to block it. But after adding the detonating talisman, all ninjutsu has lost its meaning. Thousands of detonating symbols explode here, which can instantly level the house. Even if you use ninjutsu to block it, you can't stop so many detonating symbols from exploding at the same time. Has Godachibana Yagura finally made a move on me? Now that the struggle has lost its meaning, Terumi-mei is ready to enjoy her last life. Then he picked up the good wine that was hidden under the table and had been reluctant to drink it, and poured it directly towards his face. Although I didn't drink much, I didn't have much time after all, so keeping it would be a waste. Loquat Juzang, who was standing next to Lu Mu, swallowed. He looked at Lu Mu with slightly frightened eyes. Terumi-mei accidentally threw out a kunai, and Lu Mu actually threw out thousands of kunai. It perfectly explains what it means to report defects. For a while, Loquat Shizang kept thinking about whether he had offended Lu Mu in any way. If so, an apology must be made immediately. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't know how I will die. At this time, Lu Mu became anxious. Why is it that Terumi-mei is acting like a fool? Not only does she not hide, but she still has time to wash her face. I'm afraid he's sick. Poof! A kunai penetrated Terumi-mei's body. But Terumi-mei didn't react at all, letting the blood continue to flow from the wound. Because Terumi-mei knows, more kunai will be stabbed into the body next. And it will explode. So Terumi-mei did not stop the speed of pouring the wine, but poured out all the wine faster. Finally, a bottle of treasured old wine was poured out, but the expected kunai did not continue to arrive. The expected explosion never came. Terumi-mei opened her eyes in confusion and looked around. Where are the other kunais? Only one on me. Moreover, what was tied to the kunai did not look like a detonating talisman, but a piece of crumpled paper. Terumi-mei frowned. He looked towards the speed at which the kunai was flying. Seeing a green face, he looked at himself in confusion. Terumi-mei twitched the corner of her mouth, endured the pain and pulled out the kunai, and then took off the tied paper. Come out. I have something to talk to you about. We are here to help you. Suddenly Terumi-mei almost spit out a mouthful of blood. That's it. Why is there such a big battle to ask yourself out? Thousands of kunai need to be thrown out at the same time. Do you want to call yourself out, or do you want me to go directly to the King of Hell to report? And where are the remaining kunai? For a moment, Terumi-mei looked at the empty wine bottle in her hand distressingly. This was originally intended to be used when having a drink with one's future husband when getting married. It's all gone now, not a drop left, and the wounds on the body will scar. How will I find a boyfriend and get married in the future? Suddenly Terumi-mei's anger swept through her body, and then she jumped out directly. He came to Lu Mu with a cold face. Have you thought about how you want to die? Terumi-mei, don't worry, we are here to help you. Loquat Juzang said anxiously. Help me, you almost sent me away. When Terumi-mei saw Loquat Juzo, the anger in her heart became less intense. At first, Loquat Juzang was dissatisfied with Goju Yagura's rule, and then left the Kingdom of Water angrily. At least it can be proven that these two people are not from Goju Yagura. But he didn't take the two people in front of him seriously. Because Loquat Juzang did not join the resistance at first, but chose to escape from the Kingdom of Water. After all, he is just a deserter. The most important thing is that I use all my old wine to wash my face. Not a drop is left. Then Terumi Mei turned her attention to Lu Mu. You must have thrown that kunai just now. It was so accurate. Terumi Mei said, murderous intent gradually spread out. At this time Lu Mu also seemed a little panicked. After all, Terumi Mei has 2 bloodline boundaries, and she is also the future 5th Mizukage, and her strength is unfathomable. But the more this situation occurs, the less anxious it is. Then his face looked very calm. Yes, it was me, but I didn't expect you didn't catch it. Terumi Mei almost spit out another mouthful of old blood. Countless kunai were thrown over at that time, and the note on it looked too much like a detonating charm. I feel so desperate that I can't fix myself anymore. How can I still think about it? Very good, just admit it. Then I will give you 2 choices now. First, pay me the special sake for the first year of the Water Kingdom, and then let me prick you with a kunai, then this matter will be over. Second, that's defeating me, Terumi Mei said, quietly waiting for Lu Mu's answer. Lu Mu cried. They all doubted whether Terumi Mei was here to touch porcelain. How can I have the money to pay for Terumi Mei's drink? If I had known earlier, I would have brought Conan here with me. That rich woman can just sell some of her 600 billion detonating charms. Before Lu Mu spoke, Loquat Juzang frowned. I have never seen someone so willing to seek death. Who is Lu Mu? It was a presence that made even the leaders of the Akatsuki organization bow to their knees. That was the person who sneaked into Konoha village alone, defeated the 2 masters of Konoha village and escaped unscathed. That's the Akatsuki organization, the spiritual leader of everyone. How dare Terumi Mei speak like this? Then he took an angry step forward. Terumi Mei, I advise you to take care of yourself. It seems that you still don't know who you are going to face. Loquat Juzang lowered his voice, giving his voice a hint of coldness. Terumi Mei was stunned for a moment. You must know that Loquat Juzo is a member of the 7 ninja swordsmen of Kurigakure village. The strength is quite good. He was also the man who survived when Mad Dai opened the 8 gates armor. Even Terumi Mei herself is wary of Loquat Juzang's strength. But he is such a strong man. To show such respect to a young man. This forced Terumi Mei to look at Lu Mu again curiously. What kind of personality charm can make Loquat Juzo give in? In other words, the young man has amazing strength. Suddenly Terumi Mei trembled. Thinking of the kunai just now, Terumi Mei had a look of horror on her face. Thousands of kunai are thrown out at the same time, making it impossible for people to avoid it. Even if it is genjutsu, then when did you let yourself get genjutsu? Thinking of this, Terumi Mei didn't dare to be careless. Because the handsome boy in front of me is definitely not simple. Terumi Mei looked at Lu Mu solemnly. In his heart, he felt regret for his gaffe just now. But he quickly came to his senses. You must not be fooled by illusions, you must test Lu Mu's strengths and weaknesses yourself. If Lu Mu is really a master, then no matter what the cost, Lu Mu must be won over. After all, the Kingdom of Water is tired and must end this turbulent situation. There must be someone who can make the final decision. The person who defeated 4th Mizukage Godachibana Yagura appears. Very good, then you chose to fight, right? As Terumi Mei spoke, the chakra in her body continued to surge. His hands kept forming seals. Water style, Kurigakure no Jutsu. Suddenly a thick fog came over, completely covering the 3 of them. Stretching out one hand, you can't even see your own 5 fingers. Then Terumi Mei began to change positions several times. After all, there must be no carelessness when dealing with Lu Mu. After Terumi Mei found a safe position, she continued to form seals with her hands again. Water style, water dragon bullet technique. Suddenly, a huge water dragon came out, churning in the mist. Then he rushed straight in one direction. Why not hide? Terumi Mei frowned. Since the mist hidden technique was activated, there was no sound, indicating that Lu Mu and Loquat Juzang had not moved at all. Still standing in place. For a moment, Terumi Mei felt offended. Then the output of chakra was increased, and the size of the water dragon bullet was doubled, and its power was also increased several times than before. But at this moment, Terumi Mei felt a snowflake falling on herself. Terumi Mei raised her head inexplicably. It's summer now. Why is it snowing out of nowhere? And then the snow fell harder and harder. Pieces of snowflakes kept falling, hitting Terumi Mei's skin. Terumi Mei quickly shook her head. The most important thing now is to defeat Lu Mu in front of him. But the next second, Terumi Mei trembled all over. I can't control the water dragon bullet. Terumi Mei felt cold from head to toe for a while. Because we are in the fog now, we can't see what happened to the water dragon bomb. Although chakra can still be transmitted. But the water dragon bullet was like a stone sinking into the sea, without any feedback information. Just when Terumi Mei is preparing to perform the next ninjutsu, the surrounding thick fog actually began to recede gradually. All the water vapor in the thick fog turned into ice slag and kept falling to the ground. The surrounding vision also began to become clearer. But the next second, Terumi Mei showed an expression of disbelief on her face. The water dragon bomb is still there. But it has completely frozen into ice. I saw a huge water dragon, opening its bloody mouth and biting towards Lu Mu. Staying less than 10 meters away from Lu Mu. And the surrounding scenery has completely changed. It was still a hot summer day just now, but now it has become an ice country. The ground is covered with white snow, enough to reach your knees if you step on it. The surrounding tree houses have been completely transformed into works of art made of ice. It shines brightly through sunlight. Ice escape. Terumi Mei took a deep breath. Ice escape is the unique blood inheritance boundary of the Shui Wuyu family. You can use chakra to freeze surrounding things. Definitely one of the most powerful families in the Kingdom of Water. But because of Goju Yagura, the Minazuki family fell from the altar. Countless members of the Minazuki family were hunted down. The members of the Shui Wuyu family on the bright side completely disappeared, and the extremely powerful ice escape also disappeared. However, Terumi Mei has seen the power of ice release before. Even the patriarch of the Shui Wuyu family at that time had seen the ice escape performed before. But in front of Lu Mu, it seemed too childish. In a few breaths, the hot summer has completely transformed into a land of snow. Although it doesn't seem to have much effect. But changing the season instantly requires a massive amount of chakra. And that amazing control. Ice release has never been a docile chakra, but is very violent. Once used, everything can be frozen instantly. But after Lu Mu used ice escape, he only turned the surrounding area into a kingdom of snow. They didn't kill them all. This kind of control scares Terumi Mei. For a moment, Terumi Mei became excited again. If someone like Lu Mu joins the rebel army, their strength will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Even if he encounters Goju Yagura, he still has enough strength to fight against him. And maybe there really is a chance to overthrow that tyranny. But Terumi Mei has no intention of stopping. I want to see again how strong Lu Mu is. Moreover, the boundaries of blood inheritance are not exclusive to Lu Mu. I also have blood inheritance boundaries. And there are 2 more. Goju Yagura frowned and looked outside. It was still a hot summer day just now, but at this moment it started to snow heavily, and the entire Kurigakure village was dyed white. This is apparently a powerful weather-changing ninjutsu. In Goju Yagura's memory, the only one who could create such an effect was the ice release of the Minazuki family. But it caused heavy snowfall in the entire Kurigakure village. This is absolutely impossible for just 1 or 2 people to do. It definitely has a lot of endurance and fully stimulates the effect of ice escape. Suddenly, Goju Yagura trembled. There was an angry expression in his eyes. The remnants of Minazuki have united with the Kingdom of Thunder. It snowed heavily in the sky and the sea surface was completely frozen. Then the ninjas who were originally preparing to go to war could only wait until the freeze lifted. Otherwise the ship would not be able to move at all. But the Kingdom of Thunder is different. Because the Kingdom of Thunder and the Minazuki family are united, they only need to let the ice melt when the Kingdom of Thunder's fleet arrives, and then they can land smoothly. At that time, the battle line will be moved to the land of water. So no matter who wins or loses in the end, the one who will be hurt the most is definitely the Kingdom of Water. And if there is a fight, other countries will never stand idly by. I wants to start the 4th Ninja War. Goju Yagura slapped the table angrily, and the solid table immediately fell apart. The ninja standing next to him was startled, but he didn't dare to say a word. Report. We have insight. The source of chakra is near Terumi Mei's house. Terumi Mei. Okay, it turns out you took in the Minazuki family and united the Kingdom of Thunder. For a moment, Goju Yagura smiled proudly. As the main force of the resistance, Goju Yagura seemed to have eliminated Terumi-mei a long time ago. But I couldn't find a suitable excuse. Now Terumi-mei joins forces with the Kingdom of Thunder to attack, which is definitely an excellent reason. Not only can Terumi-mei be solved, even the rebels can be uprooted. After all, uniting with other countries is a taboo. Very good, continue to observe and feedback the information to me in time. Terumi-mei quickly formed seals with her hands. The chakra on his body gradually increased, and soon the chakra reached a terrifying level. Then take a deep breath. A thick fog was spit out directly. Boil style, skillful mist technique. The white smoke was sprayed out, and the moment the snowflakes fell on it, they immediately melted and turned into a cloud of mist. The snow on the ground was also melted directly. Looking at the thick fog that kept coming, Loquat Juzang became anxious. Senior Lu, this is the art of Chao Mist, it can melt everything. Lu Mu rolled his eyes. Naturally, he knew that this was the art of the mist, and it could even melt Susanoo's armor. This was the first time Lu Mu saw him. The special effects of my own ninjutsu were actually destroyed. It's definitely impossible to hide, so now I can only give it a try. The first thing to do is to block this thick fog that corrodes everything. Then Lu Mu quickly formed seals with his hands. Then press it hard on the ground. Earth style wall technique. For a moment, the ground trembled. Along with the loud noise, a stone wall slowly rose. Terumi-mei couldn't help but frown when she saw the stone wall in front of her. I really can't figure out why there are exquisite murals carved on the stone walls. Could it be that there are too many chakras to use up? But the next second, Terumi-mei felt something strange on the stone wall. Although the stone wall does not look unusual, but there is an inexplicable feeling, as if there is another world behind this wall. Another blocked world. Then this feeling became stronger and stronger. The walls were filled with endless resentment, and you could even hear the undead beating on them on the other side of the wall. I want to escape from another world. Quick, break this wall. Terumi-mei, my good boy, break this wall quickly. Break down this wall quickly, and I will marry you as soon as I come out. Voices came out one after another. Terumi-mei is constantly seduced. Terumi-mei instinctively wants to break through this wall, then all her wishes will come true. Suddenly Terumi-mei came back to her senses. His face was pale and his clothes were soaked with sweat. This is not an ordinary wall. It is a seal connecting the underworld. If you listen to the devil's whisper, break through this wall. Countless demons from the underworld will come out instantly. At that time, the entire Kurigakure village will become the capital of the undead, and even the entire ninja world will become Shinigami's back garden. At that time, you will become the sinner of all mankind. Terumi-mei frowned and looked at Lu Mu. He kept speculating in his mind. Who is Lu Mu to be such a terrifying ninjutsu? Aren't you afraid of the devil escaping from it? Destroy the entire world. Terumi-mei cancelled the skill of the mist and looked at the wall in front of her in fear. If you really break the wall, you will become a sinner of the entire human race. But at this moment, someone in the woods nearby shouted, "Mother, I will rescue you now." I saw a ninja making seals with his hands, and then a water dragon flew straight towards the wall. Although ice release freezes the water dragon again and again. But the ninja had no intention of giving up, increasing the chakra again and again. This guy wants to destroy Kurigakure village. Terumi-mei yelled angrily. I'm not married yet, and I don't want to die so early. But it was too late to intercept. I saw the water dragon bullet hit the wall. Suddenly, spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the wall, and purple mist kept leaking from the cracks. The purple mist was filled with the smell of death. Negative states such as resentment, unwillingness, and anger gradually affect the emotions of people around you. And it appears with the breath. There were more and more gaps in the wall, and soon the entire wall was covered with cracks. Bump! A huge fist was punched out, and the stones on the wall flew everywhere, revealing a huge hole. Terumi-mei swallowed a mouthful of saliva and looked at the hole in fear. His limbs couldn't help but tremble, because the scene behind the cave is not where Lu Mu is standing, but a void. Countless ghosts were dancing in the void, and there were even some familiar faces of Terumi-mei among them. What scares Terumi May the most is not these ghosts, but a huge creature that keeps staring at her with its eyes. The moment their eyes met, Terumi May felt like she was being sucked in. It's like the soul is being pulled away. Terumi May, who is not even afraid of death, is afraid at this moment. He secretly decided in his heart that if anyone could save him, if anyone could destroy the monster in front of him, he would do anything he wanted. At this moment, countless resentful spirits flew out and kept flying in the air. One of the resentful spirits flew past the ninja. Suddenly the ninja's face showed an expression of joy. "Mom, I finally rescued you." I saw that the originally kind-hearted face suddenly became distorted, revealing its sharp fangs, and flew straight towards the ninja. It giggled as it flew. The ninja's eyes widened, showing an expression of fear. "No, you are not my mother. My dear son, come back to your mother's arms." The resentful spirit passed directly through the ninja's body, and the ninja trembled, then fell directly to the ground without making any sound. His liver and gallbladder were so frightened that he was frightened to death. Is this Terumi May's ninjutsu? It's so scary. In the woods not far away, several Kurigakure Anbu frowned and looked at the wall. A ninja has no ability to resist in front of this ninjutsu. This would allow ninjutsu to be completely released. I am afraid that the entire Kurigakure village will be destroyed. No, those ghosts are coming. Bloody ready for a fight. One after another, the resentful spirits flew towards the Anbu team in the Hidden Mist village. Everyone no longer cared about hiding their figures, and took out their ninja tools and threw them at the resentful spirit. But the ninja tool actually passed through the resentful spirit directly. It's like the resentful spirit doesn't exist at all. The resentful spirit rushed over quickly without pausing and passed through the ninja's body. Then the ninja's eyes became distracted. Then the whole person fell down weakly. For a moment, all the ninjas had expressions of fear on their faces. You can't hit the opponent, but the opponent can easily take your life. How to play this? Suddenly, all the Anbu in Kurigakure village lost their fighting spirit and stepped back involuntarily. After all, this resentful spirit cannot be defeated at all. At this moment, the ground suddenly shook, and a hole was hammered out of the wall again. When the giant black hand was retracted, it pulled out 5 huge ravines on the ground. Boom! Another punch. With 3 consecutive punches, the 3 holes were connected together to form a huge hole. At this moment, the fist appeared again and stretched out directly. Then his 5 fingers were inserted directly into the ground, trying to pull himself out. Suddenly, a huge black head came out of the hole, and its 2 eyes rotated in different directions to search. Finally, it was a direct lock on Terumi May. A cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Got you. Suddenly Terumi May had goosebumps all over her body. She wanted to run but couldn't move her legs at all. Just keep shaking. At this moment, the giant black hand grabbed Terumi May. Sharp laughter rang out from all around. You are mine. Boom. The ground trembled violently. The huge black palm landed 2 meters in front of Terumi May. Terumi May almost cried. The breath from the palm has already hit his face. As long as you stretch forward a little further, you will become a meatloaf. At this time, the huge black monster kept twisting and turning, and retracted one hand, trying to pull down the bricks on the wall, trying to let more out of the body, and then grabbed Terumi May. Terumi May cried. Tears flowed down involuntarily. He knew very well in his heart that if he didn't run away, the monster would catch him before long and pull him back into the void. But Terumi May's feet were as if they were filled with cement. Can't even take a step. Anxious, Terumi May punched her feet several times, but it had no effect at all. Boom! The stone wall was cracked again. A proud smile appeared on the black monster's face. Although he couldn't crawl out his whole body, it was enough to catch Terumi May this time. Then a big hand grabbed Terumi May. Terumi May was so frightened that she almost peed. Her legs were still out of control and she couldn't move. I could only watch helplessly as the big black hand grabbed it. Please, someone help me. Terumi May shouted desperately. In the next second, a black figure flashed out. It's just that there are a few blood-red clouds on this black figure. Boom! He stretched out one hand, and a small hand directly caught the black monster's big arm. And it doesn't feel strenuous at all. Terumi May suddenly collapsed to the ground and looked up blankly at the man in front of her. There was a hint of blush on his face. It's him. Obviously Lu Mu is only 12 or 13 years old, but now he looks extremely tall. He feels more secure than any man he has ever seen before. Terumi Mei calmed down for a while. I have never seen such a peaceful moment. Lu Mu smiled bitterly as he looked at the behemoth in front of him. Just as I guessed, it was just a special effect. Otherwise, how could he possibly block this giant hand with his own strength alone? And the ninja who died before. It was just because the special effects were so realistic that I was scared to death. This made Lu Mu sigh. As for this wall, Lu Mu has long wanted to take it back. But Doryubi is different from other ninjutsu. Once cast, it can no longer be undone. Even if the chakra is taken back, the stone wall will still stand there. So there is really no other way but to do it yourself. But now, although the black monster's attack has been blocked, I don't know how to deal with this wall of size for a while. At this time, Lu Mu shifted his attention to the black monster. For a moment, the black monster roared crazily. One hand was retracted and kept slapping the ground. It made the whole land tremble. Is he scared? The corners of Lu Mu's mouth raised slightly, and then he walked towards the wall of size step by step. With every step he took, the black monster became more and more impatient. It seems that he is very afraid of Lu Mu's arrival. At this moment, all the resentful spirits that had scattered away quickly gathered in front of the wall of size. He kept roaring at Lu Mu. What's going on? All those weird things have escaped. Captain, look, all those weird things are gathered in front of the wall, and they seem to be very afraid of that person. Hidden Mist Village Anbu stared at the scene in front of him in stunned silence. This group left him helpless and even sacrificed several elite resentful spirits. It's like a husky at this time. He only had a ferocious appearance and dared to howl non-stop, but in his heart he was so scared that he lost his thoughts. He didn't even have the courage to go up and attack. Especially that giant black monster. Obviously his arms were strong enough to hit Lu Mu, but he didn't dare to take action at all. He only dared to keep hammering the ground angrily, trying to scare off Lu Mu. Hidden Mist Village Anbu couldn't help but look at Lu Mu curiously. Who is it that can make monsters completely unable to fight back? What a terrifying existence it is. It can actually make the huge black monster not even have the courage to attack. He could only hammer the ground in humiliation. If such a man really joins forces with Terumi Mei, does he really have the ability to resist? Do you really have the courage to resist? I'm afraid that 4th Mizukage Goju Yagura is coming, and I'm afraid there's nothing I can do against him. Go back and report to Mr. Mizukage that the person who is dealing with Terumi Mei is too powerful. Please make a decision personally, Mr. Mizukage. My suggestion is, peace is the most important thing. Finally Lu Mu walked up to the black monster. All the resentful spirits gathered in front of the wall, crying and trying to get Lu Mu to stop. And the black monster doesn't even dare to shout now. A pair of eyes looked at Lu Mu aggrievedly. Please let us go. I smiled a little recently. I didn't expect that these special effects are quite realistic and have exclusive emotions. It's like this creature really exists. If he hadn't known that these were just special effects, he might have softened his heart. Then Lu Mu raised his fist. Gather chakra into your fist and smash it against the wall. The sky turned gray for a moment. It was daytime a second ago, but now it was completely dark. But at this moment Lu Mu's whole person lit up. Lu Mu's fist was like a scorching sun. It kept shining with dazzling light. A simple punch seemed to gather countless energy in it. It seems that with this punch, any object will be broken. It seems that with this punch, the entire space and time will be distorted. Although the fight hadn't ended yet, just seeing Lu Mu punching made people feel frightened. At this moment Lu Mu was like a god of war. No matter who the opponent is, they can kill him with one punch. Even if a god came to this world, he would not dare to take this punch. At this time, Lu Mu's fist started to wave. The fist moves out very slowly. But where the fist passed, the entire space became distorted. The scenery inside looks like a building from thousands of years ago. Could it be that this man can control time? Hidden Mist Village Anbu's heart beat rapidly. Ninjutsu, who controls space, knows a lot. But this is the first time I have seen ninjutsu who controls time. Moreover, a casual punch affects the surrounding space and time. How powerful is this? If I just couldn't offend before. So now the entire Kurigakure village must not offend him. Once you offend him, Kurigakure village will face destruction. Hurry up and catch up with the person in front of you. Tell Mizukage-sama that the character who is facing Terumi-mei is too strong. I suggest him, give up resistance. Finally, Lu Emu's fist landed on the hole. Suddenly, the remaining light around him was instantly sucked to the point where his fist came into contact. After a pause of 3 seconds, a burst of bright light shone out. Everyone was as if they had been hit by a flash bomb, and their eyes were completely white. When the white light receded, everyone looked towards the wall. A huge black hole was formed where Lu Emu's fist landed, directly swallowing everything around it. No matter how the resentful spirit kept struggling, no matter howling the black monster kept, they could not prevent the fate of being devoured. Finally, all the black monsters on the wall disappeared. Kurigakure village once again returned to tranquility. It was like nothing happened just now. Only the snowflakes caused by ice escape were left, still falling. Terumi-mei looked at Lu Mu blankly at this time. If I had just admired Lu Mu before, then it was completely overflowing at this moment. One man can defeat all powerful enemies in the outside world. Defeat impossible enemies with one punch. The most important thing is to be young and handsome. If you don't love such a man and don't fight for it, then I'm afraid you won't be able to find anyone better in the future. Then he took a deep breath and strode towards Lu Mu. Loquat Juzo, whose eyes were filled with little stars, reacted immediately, drew out his decapitating sword and blocked Terumi-mei's way. What do you want to do? Terumi-mei's murderous intent flashed through her. Anyone who dares to stop his courtship should be sent to the 18th level of hell. But I thought that Loquat Juzang was Lu Emu's follower. Then just keep this grudge in a notebook for the time being. Then Terumi-mei raised her orchid fingers with both hands, held the blade of the beheading sword, and pushed it aside. Didn't he just say that he wanted to cooperate? I think we should find a place to have a deeper understanding. Seeing Terumi-mei's transformation, Loquat Juzang suddenly became proud. It seems that the person who broke the wall just now was Loquat Shizang instead of Lu Mu. It just so happens that the three of us have a chat together. Terumi-mei's mouth twitched. Who wants to talk to you? I really don't know how much I weigh. When I get married to my boyfriend, I will make you regret coming into this world. Terumi-mei took a deep breath. There was a trace of pain on his face. Look at the injury on my hand. How can I, a girl, get married? According to the rules of our village, you must be held responsible for injuring a girl. Terumi-mei became more and more aggrieved as she spoke. Hot tears rolled down directly. Loquat Juzang was dumbfounded and kept searching in his mind. When did Kurigakure village have this rule? Why didn't I know? I'm advised to surrender directly. Goji Yagura's face instantly became distorted. I wish I could just tear Anbu apart, who was reporting the news right in front of me. But he was Mizukage after all, so he could only take a deep breath and suppress his anger. But this Anbu has already been written on Goju Yagura's death note. Didn't he ask me to surrender? Then I want to see who should surrender. Then the bell of Kurigakure village rang rapidly again. This time the bell sounded even faster than the last time. It's ringing again. Isn't the sea blocked? You can't let anyone live anymore. I worked the night shift yesterday, and they kept playing with me during the day. What the hell is this Goju Yagura doing again? Hidden Mist Village Anbu walked out one by one with resentment. But when they saw the serious-looking Goji Yagura, no one dared to say anything. I can only put my resentment back in my heart. Now there are enemy ninjas who have sneaked into our village. Several Anbu were killed by them, and the remaining ones betrayed Kurigakure village. Therefore, for the dignity of Kurigakure village, we must severely punish the traitors and catch the spies. At this time Lu Mu frowned. Although I connected with Terumi-mei, the way of connecting seemed a bit wrong. Lu Mu's left hand was seen being held by Terumi-mei. The whole arm seemed to be pressed down by a mountain, and the whole body felt very uncomfortable. Terumi-mei, is this your way of negotiating? Terumi-mei was stunned for a moment when Lu Mu told her, and then her face instantly turned red. But it soon returned to normal. The mountain pressing on Lu Mu's arm showed no intention of leaving. You don't know, this is how we negotiate in Kurigakure village. Lu Mu's mouth twitched and he turned to look at Loquat Juzang. Just when Loquat Juzang was about to shake his head and reject it, he suddenly felt a murderous aura coming over him. Loquat Juzang couldn't help but tremble all over. Then he nodded quickly. Yes, this is the customs of our country of water. Lu Mu couldn't help coughing. This custom is a bit strange. Fortunately, the person negotiating this time was Terumi Mei. If it were a ninja like Inokaki Kisame, he would probably have nightmares even if he slept. Tell me what you are doing in the Kingdom of Water this time. As long as it is your request, I will agree to it. Terumi Mei said, and when she said the last few words, her mouth was already close to Lu Mu's ear. Even if Lu Mu has been a human being for 2 generations. Now his face couldn't help but turn red. You issued a mission to our Akatsuki organization before, and we needed our help to overthrow the tyranny of the 4th Mizukage. No, we didn't issue a mission. And I don't even know what the Akatsuki organization is. Terumi Mei looked at Lu Mu with a puzzled look. Lu Mu's face suddenly turned pale. I was tricked. This time I was deceived into the Kingdom of Water for no reason at all to complete the mission. The real purpose is to get rid of yourself. Otherwise, Terumi Mei, as the connector, would not know everything. So the person who made the layout is definitely the biggest filial son in the Akatsuki organization, and he is absolutely brilliant. Lu Mu was very angry for a while. Even if he knew the plans of Uchiha Obito and Black Zetsu, Lu Mu was not prepared to expose them. I am afraid that I have changed the plot and it will be out of control later. But now Heiju has blamed himself. This can't be ignored. Then Lu Mu looked at Terumi Mei seriously. Terumi Mei also had to become serious. Then now can you give our Akatsuki organization a mission to help lift the tyranny of Godachibana Yagura? Terumi Mei hesitated for a moment. No matter how he organizes a resistance army, it is an internal matter within Kurigakure village. If the Akatsuki organization is invited, the nature will completely change. The rebels will completely become a rebel ninja group, which will give Guju Yagura a perfect reason to kill all the rebels. This decision is not only related to his own life. It also concerns the lives and families of dozens of ninjas who believe in themselves. Suddenly Terumi Mei reacted. Loquat Juzang is one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, and Lu Mu possesses ice release, so he definitely belongs to the Minazuki clan. If you simply invite these 2 people, you will never be able to rebel against ninja. Moreover, Lu Mu's strength is amazing, and he might really have a chance to overthrow Goju Yagura. Okay, I promise you. But I only invite you 2, not the Akatsuki organization behind it. Ding dong. Trigger the mission. Accept Terumi Mei's request. Task reward. Clap your hands, whatever you shout will come to you. The corners of Lu Mu's mouth raised slightly. I was originally preparing to take on this task, but I didn't expect that the system would actually send a task. And you can get rewards just by picking them up, so why not? Agree. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for completing the task. Congratulations to the host for getting the reward. Clap your hands and shout whatever you want. Lu Mu is preparing to confirm the mission reward. Countless ninjas suddenly appeared not far away. The leaders were a man and a woman. It is the remaining 2 members of the 7 ninja swordsmen, Kisame Ingaki and Yuri Ringo. Lu Mu looked at Gansaki Kisame in surprise. If he delays for a while longer, Kisame Inagaki will defect from Kurigakure village and directly join the Akatsuki organization. But at this time, Inagaki Kisame is still in Kurigakure village. And he was still under Goju Yagura. So now he has to become Lu Mu's enemy. Senior Lu, there are a lot of people on the other side. Loquat Juzang took out his beheading sword and whispered. Terumi Mei also let go of Lu Mu's hand at this time. He placed one hand on the ninja tool bag, ready to fight at any time. It seems that there is no chance of running away, so we can only fight. Lu Mu smiled helplessly. With so many people, you will die if you go up there. Terumi Mei said with a weak smile. There was a look of despair on his face. In the face of absolute numbers, no matter how strong an individual is, it is useless. What makes Terumi Mei most unwilling is that she is not married yet. She just met Lu Mu and has not developed further. If I had known earlier, I would have kissed him. Don't worry, with Senior Lu here, everything will be fine. Loquat Juzang said confidently. Lu Mu smiled bitterly and said nothing more. Instead, he took a step forward. When Lin Yu saw Lu Mu coming out, a mocking smile appeared on his face. No way, you, a child, still want to fight with so many of us. Ayuri, let's fight and catch as many as possible alive. Kisame Kazaki said expressionlessly. It is very clear in my heart. If Terumi dies, no one in the land of rain will dare to resist the rule of Goju Yagura. These days of darkness will continue forever. But Kisame Kazaki was helpless. Who asked me to be under the control of Goju Yagura now, and the number of people on the opposite side is really too small. Even if it is rebellion, it is just one more corpse. Shut up, Kisame, I've known about your little tricks for a long time. Just let me do it this time. I will definitely tell Mizukage-sama about you when you get back. Lin Yu said and walked towards Lu Mu's direction. A provocative smile appeared on his face. Little brother, my sister asked you to take 2 moves. How about you just surrender after 2 moves? Lu Mu sneered, and then clapped his hands. Water style. Big explosion water shockwave. As soon as Lu Mu finished speaking, the earth began to tremble. Yuri Lin was shocked, as the water style he imagined did not appear. Suddenly I felt like I was being fooled. Little brother, are you using earth style or water style? You guess. I admit that you succeeded in irritating me. I will definitely torture you when I defeat you. After Lin Yuri finished speaking, he pulled out 2 short swords from his back. On the short sword, arcs of electricity kept beating on the blade. There is also the sound of electric arc beating from time to time. It is surprisingly one of the 7 ninja swords, Thunder Blade Fang. But at this moment, the sky suddenly darkened. Everyone raised their heads. I saw a tsunami hundreds of meters high in the sky, wrapping up the entire Kurigakure village from all directions. If this tsunami hits us completely, not to mention the Kurigakure village, I am afraid that all the creatures on the road in the entire Water Kingdom will be exterminated. Am I dreaming? How could there be such a huge tsunami and why was there no notice at all? This is definitely the wrath of God. Come and punish our Kurigakure village. Lin Yuli's hands naturally dropped, and even the Thunder Saber Fang fell to the ground. There was no longer any fighting spirit on his face. The entire Kurigakure village is about to be destroyed, and it's still a waste of time to fight. Even if they continue to fight, it will only be in the order of death first and then death. Kisame Kisami's face also became serious. Although he can transform into a mermaid, the impact of such a huge tsunami means that even after becoming a mermaid, his chances of surviving are low. If you are like this, what about the other ninjas? What about other ordinary villagers? But soon Kisami's face relaxed. The kingdom of water was destroyed. Everyone must die. Then there will be no more intrigues and no more deceptions and no more taking human lives. Just hope there is no Goju Yagura in heaven. Terumi Mei looked at the tsunami in the sky in despair, her mouth opening and closing for a long time without being able to speak. Loquat Juzo, who was on the side, gently patted Terumi Mei on the shoulder with a pleasant smile on his face. This is Lu Senpai's ninjutsu, I heard it from Sister Konan before. Terumi Mei shuddered. He looked at Lu Mu in disbelief. The tsunami that was so devastating, enough to destroy a ninja village, turned out to be Lu Mu's ninjutsu. It is really unimaginable how much amazing chakra Lu Mu has in his body. To be able to activate such a huge ninjutsu. For a moment, Terumi Mei's eyes shone with strange brilliance, and her face became excited. Except for those mysterious readers in the legend. Only such a man is qualified to be his own husband. But Terumi Mei soon reacted, and her head turned to Loquat Juzang like a machine. Then did Konan tell you how we should escape? Loquat Juzang trembled all over. He had a look on his face that he was about to cry. Konan, she didn't tell me. Looking at everyone's desperate expressions. The corners of Lu Mu's mouth raised slightly. The goal I envisioned has been achieved, and now is the next step. Then Lu Mu clapped his hands again. Shadow clone technique. For a moment, a ray of light appeared, and a figure slowly floated down along the light beam. Then the figure in the air clapped his hands. Transformation. For a moment everyone looked up. Seeing the shadow clone above that was full of holy and holy aura, my legs suddenly became weak. They all fell to their knees. God. This is God. Yes, this God is exactly the same as the one in the album. Yes, it's exactly the same as the Buddha statue at home. After one person shouted, everyone's eyes showed a look of hope. The god has arrived. As long as the gods are willing to take action, no matter how big the disaster is, it can be disintegrated in an instant. Even Gansaki Kisame and Ringo Yuri couldn't help but kneel on the ground. For a while, the sound of kowtows could be heard on the ground. Even because of kowtow, the ground was dyed red with blood. Lu Mu couldn't help but smile. Then he looked towards the sky. Seeing the shadow clone after the transformation in the air, the corners of his mouth kept twitching. Isn't this the Jade Emperor? Finally Lu Mu knew the power of transformation. As long as someone goes astray, the transformation technique will turn him into that person. Because I have never seen the gods of the ninja world, so I immediately took on the role of the Jade Emperor in the mythical story. Then Lu Mu quickly lowered his head, not daring to look directly. I'm afraid that if I continue to read, I won't be able to help but kneel down. So what Lu Mu will do next is the third step of the plan. I saw Shadow Clone floating in the air. He looked at everyone below with angry eyes. The majestic face made everyone kowtow faster. Do you know why I want to send down divine punishment? The sound was like thunder, resounding in all directions. Everyone couldn't help but tremble, lowering their heads and not daring to look up. The gods are angry. God's wrath is enough to destroy the entire world. In ancient times, there was a ritual in which girls were sacrificed to the gods to appease the gods and prevent them from becoming angry and destroying the world. And now someone actually dares to offend the gods. And the gods came to visit. Everyone wanted to cut the man into pieces who had angered the gods. Okay, since you don't know what's wrong, let me tell you. Shadow Clone shouted angrily. Suddenly a bolt of lightning struck, and the originally dark sky was instantly illuminated. Forget the endless internal fighting for power. You dare to surround and kill my divine envoy. You are so brave. What's the use of keeping you? For a moment, everyone had puzzled expressions on their faces. God's messenger. A messenger walking in the ninja world on behalf of God. Promote the gifts of God. No matter where you go, you should receive the highest treatment. But when they arrived at Wuyin village, they were surrounded and killed. Everyone roared in their hearts. He can't wait to tear apart the blasphemous sinners to vent his hatred. Lin Yuyu looked up at Lu Mu in disbelief. Didn't expect that at all. Lu Mu turned out to be a messenger of God. He actually dared to attack the divine envoy. Didn't he think that he had lived too long and that he would be buried with the entire kingdom of water? Ringo Yuri was scared. Why did I take action? Why didn't I object when I received the task? Even after receiving the mission, why not let an honest man like Inukasaki Kisame do it? But it was already too late. It's too late. The gods are already angry. How can human beings like ants appease the gods? Unless. Lin Yuyu trembled all over. There was hope again in the desperate eyes. Then he crawled up to Lu Mu, hugged Lu Mu's ankles with both hands, and placed his forehead on the ground in front of Lu Mu's feet. In order to survive, it is worth bending over and over again. When everyone saw Lin Juyu's appearance, they instantly understood that Lu Mu was the so-called deep envoy. Then they crawled up to Lu Mu one by one. He kept kowtowing to Lu Mu. Some are for Kurigakure village, some are for their lovers, and some are for their families. They all hope to pass their own actions. Calm down the wrath of the angels, appease the wrath of the gods. At this moment, Terumi Mei also walked up to Lu Mu and knelt down. I am willing to sacrifice myself in exchange for the gods appeasing their anger. Lu Mu's mouth twitched, looking at Terumi Mei with mixed feelings. I'm acting, why are you here to join in? Countless people were kneeling in front of Lu Mu. Apart from Lu Mu, the only one left standing was the completely stupid Loquat Juzang. Seeing that the situation was almost over, he immediately signaled to Shadow Clone to finish the work. Shadow Clone nodded knowingly. Then with a wave of one hand, the original huge waves disappeared in an instant, leaving only a small stream of water washing everyone's heads. Very good, I have received your thoughts. I will forgive you for now. If this happens again next time, it won't end so easily. After Shadow Clone finished speaking, although everyone in the Hidden Mist village did not dare to get up, their faces were full of joy. Survived. The loving God finally forgives everyone's sins. To know. If you die at the hands of gods, you may not be able to go to hell or heaven, and you will have to wander around in the world and suffer all kinds of torture. Lu Mu also nodded with satisfaction. Now you only need to remove the shadow clone, and everything will come to a perfect end. Just as Lu Mu was preparing to remove shadow clone, suddenly, the corners of shadow clone's mouth raised slightly, and he pointed the scepter in his hand at Terumi Mei. I have received your sacrifice. From now on, protect my messenger and obey his orders. As soon as Shadow Clone finished speaking, he disappeared directly. Lu Mu's mouth kept twitching. How come there are so many Shadow Clone scenes, and Terumi Mei is even arranged? Do you know how much this will affect me? What is your Shadow Clone number? I want to file a complaint against you. As Shadow Clone disappeared, everyone in Kurigakure village cheered. The feeling of escaping death is always so wonderful. Even ninjas who have been walking on the edge of death all year round can't help but burst into tears. At this time, everyone looked at Terumi Mei with envy. Although Terumi Mei sacrificed herself, she lost her freedom. But he can stay with Lu Mu. Who is Lu Mu? He is the messenger of God and the existence closest to God. If you can stay with him, you will definitely be able to hear God's teachings at all times. Maybe in the end, you can reach the kingdom of gods. From now on, escape the pain of reincarnation and escape from this chaotic world. For a moment, the young and beautiful woman secretly regretted it. Why wasn't I the one who stood up at that time? If you stand up for yourself, can you stand by that man's side? Lu Mu coughed twice. Then he raised his hands upward. Everyone, get up, the gods have left. Everyone stood up for a while, looking at Lu Mu carefully with pairs of eyes. Want to see it? How is this messenger of God different from ordinary people? Look at his appearance. He is so handsome. If he is not a divine messenger, who is a divine messenger? To tell you the truth, I saw at first sight that this man was extraordinary, but I didn't expect that he was actually a divine envoy. Get out of the way, you fool in front of me. I want to breathe in the air exhaled by the divine envoy. Maybe it can cure all diseases. For a moment, Lu Mu felt like he was sweating. It was even more stressful than before when Anbu surrounded Kurigakure village. I feel like a monkey in the zoo, being watched by countless people. Fortunately, no one dared to get too close, and there was a pious look in their eyes. Afraid of angering the gods again. After a while, everyone stopped talking and looked at Lu Mu, waiting for Lu Mu's arrangements. Seeing this, Lu Mu quickly cleared his throat again. The Kurigakure village has been misled by the wrong leader for a long time. It's time to change him so that this beautiful country will no longer be stained with blood. Suddenly everyone cheered. Although Goju Yagura's policy is very good for civilian ninjas. But as time went by, everyone also discovered the problem. The inheritance of a family is not just about money and power. There is also the special ninjutsu, and the mysterious blood inheritance boundary. Although the status of civilian ninjas has risen. But as the family continues to be suppressed, there are fewer and fewer ninjas with special ninjutsu and blood inheritance boundaries, and the strength of Kurigakure village is gradually fading. If it continues, as long as a ninja war breaks out, then Kurigakure village will become a weak persimmon and be suppressed by the other 4 major countries. Even Kurigakure village will withdraw from the ranks of the 5 major countries. So when Lu Mu made this request, even the civilian ninjas had no objection at all. On the contrary, he is eager to overthrow the rule of Goju Yagura. The most important thing is this is Lu Mu's request. That is, it represents God's will. Even the last doubt disappeared in an instant. At this time, Goju Yagura looked around with a livid face. The surrounding ninjas stared at him like wild beasts. Just show a little flaw. They will definitely be eaten by these people. You forced me to do this. As soon as Goju Yagura finished speaking, orange-red chakra suddenly appeared on his body. A dangerous aura spurted out in all directions. As Goju Yagura's body becomes more and more orange-red chakra, the whole person completely turned into an orange-red monster. Sharp fangs were exposed on the mouth. Sharp claws appeared on the limbs. Especially behind him, 3 long tails appeared. At this time, Goju Yagura could no longer see any signs of being human, and was completely a beast. But Godachibana Yagura is perfect as Jinchuriki. After turning on the tail beast transformation, he didn't completely lose his mind. But it still has the original memory. A tailed beast with shadow-level combat experience and skills is several times more dangerous than a tailed beast that relies on wild fighting. Seeing this, everyone was so scared that they all backed out of the road. He didn't dare to block Goju Yagura's path, looking forward to Lu Mu taking action to deal with Goju Yagura. Suddenly, cold sweat broke out from Lu Mu's back. Let yourself use Chunin's strength to deal with the tailed beast turned Tachibana Yagura, isn't this looking for death? The most important thing is, I don't know whether the special effects have any effect on him. At this moment, Terumi Mei walked out and died in front of Goju Yagura. The gods have given us guidance, but if even a small problem has to be solved by the gods, then the gods will completely lose trust in our Kurigakure village. So let us, Kurigakure village, deal with our enemies. Let the divine envoy see our Kurigakure village's determination. After hearing Terumi Mei's words, everyone suddenly trembled. When dealing with any small difficulty, you have to retreat and let the gods intervene. So what do you need the ninjas of Kurigakure village to do? For a moment, everyone's eyes became determined. One after another, ninjas came out and blocked Goju Yagura's path. Terumi Mei, Loquat Juzo, Kisame, Chojuro, Ringo Yuri, Ow. Countless Kurigakure village ninjas stood up. Let Goju Yagura couldn't help but stop. But it wasn't just ninjas who stood up. Even ordinary people came out. Everyone held weapons that were readily available, including kitchen knives, hoes and wooden sticks. As long as it can be held in hand, there is nothing they can't take out unless you think of it. For a moment, Goju Yagura became afraid. Even after transforming into a tailed beast, the chakra content is almost exhausted. But dealing with so many people at the same time. Even if I'm afraid, I have to beat him down. The most critical point is that the three tails in the body also resisted. It seems that he is also afraid of Lu Mu's identity. If it weren't for his willpower, the tailed beast would have disappeared long ago. Go ahead and capture Goju Yagura, you have become the target of public criticism. In front of the entire Kurigakure village, your strength has no effect at all. Goju Yagura's face twisted. Obviously he is the Mizukage of Kurigakure village. How come Terumi Mei, the leader of the resistance, has such great appeal? He actually made the entire village stand against him. Is it just because she is a follower of the divine envoy? Don't forget, I am Mizukage, I am 4th Mizukage Godachibana Yagura. Goju Yagura shouted angrily, but the people in front of them had no intention of retreating. Instead, they gripped the weapons in their hands tighter. Godachibana Yagura believes it. As long as Terumi Mei gives an order, all weapons ninjutsu will attack towards her. Okay, you forced me to do this. Goju Yagura said, showing his minions, and then rushed towards Terumi Mei quickly. But as soon as he ran a few steps, countless ninja tools kept flying towards him. The honest man Gansaki Kisame even formed the seal in an orderly manner. One by one, ninjutsu followed. At this moment, Goju Yagura was desperate. When facing the monstrous tsunami before, I despaired that I didn't have enough strength. In this moment, Goju Yagura is desperate for the country of water. No one can accommodate him. What made Goju Yagura most desperate was that among the people standing in front of him, his own child was among them. For a time, Goju Yagura gradually lost his mind. There is only one thought in my mind, and that is to kill. Kill the resistance leader Terumi Mei, kill the ninjas who betrayed you, and then walk up to Lu Mu. I hope that the god envoy can give himself another chance. Then Goju Yagura sprinted again. Blocking the wall of people in front of him, he was completely vulnerable to Goju Yagura who transformed into a tailed beast. Wherever the claws and tail passed by, there would be a wailing sound. And this is the culprit. It was the 4th Mizukage who was supposed to protect them. Goju Yagura kept fighting in the crowd. The ninjas were a little better, but the civilians were not so lucky, and they kept falling down one by one. But no one backed down. Because they knew that the divine messenger Lu Mu was watching from behind. Lu Mu frowned. Although Lu Mu was not a holy mother, seeing so many people falling for him still made him feel unbearable. At this moment, Lu Mu's eyes lit up. During the 4 battles, Tsunade, Haruno and Sakura used necromancy together to summon a part of the Katsuyu Sage and cast a large-scale healing ninjutsu on the ninja army. Rescued countless injured ninjas. And I have already made a contract with Katsuyu Sage, so I can also summon Katsuyu Sage through spiritualism. Thinking of this, Lu Mu didn't dare to hesitate. He bit his finger gently, and a trace of blood immediately flowed down. Seizing this opportunity, Lu Mu quickly pressed towards the ground. Suddenly, countless chakra flowed towards the arm, and countless black inscriptions appeared on the ground, drawn into a huge formation. Then the formation began to rotate rapidly. And in the middle of the formation, a ray of light lit up, directly piercing the sky. Lu Mu became excited when he saw this scene. In such a big scene, I am afraid that a large part of Katsuyu Sage can be summoned. Then injured civilians can receive treatment. Everyone looked in the direction of the light pillar, with excited expressions on their faces. But Guju Yagura became afraid. Is such a huge formation meant to summon the gods again? At this moment, the light beam slowly receded. And a girl walked out of the pillar of light. None other than Katsuyu Sennin. Katsuyu Sage walked out of the beam of light with an excited expression on his face. After so long after signing the slave contract, I was finally turned over. So when he felt Lu Mu's call, he ran out without stopping. The rules of human interaction that I have learned for so long have finally come into use. Master, you finally remembered the Lune family. It's really lonely for the Lune family alone. Hear Katsuyu Sennin's coquettish voice. Lu Mu suddenly had goosebumps all over his body. Lolita has 3 good qualities, a delicate body and a soft body, and there are many of them in the current Katsuyu sages. Lu Mu has seen the appearance of Katsuyu Sage. If you hadn't seen him before, you would definitely think he was an escaped student from some ninja school. But Lu Mu quickly shook his head. You are so little. This time, Katsuyu Sage is channeled, and what he needs is Katsuyu Sage's healing power. Rather than come to see her act coquettishly. The healing ability of Katsuyu Sage depends entirely on the size of the body. With the current performance of Katsuyu Sage, I am afraid that it would be difficult to treat one person, so it is better to use Sage Jutsu by myself. Small, Katsuyu Sennin looked down at himself, and then showed a disappointed expression on his face. But he quickly regained his composure. After all, I have read the sacred book 3 times and can control any character. If you don't like the small one, then get a big one. Master, please wait a moment, I'll get a bigger one right away. Hearing Katsuyu Sage's words, Lu Mu showed an unexpected expression on his face. I didn't expect to be able to play like this. But as long as Katsuyu Sennin can change to a larger size and increase his healing power, then everything will be worth it. Not long after, Katsuyu Sage came back again. He ran to Lu Mu and turned around, looking at Lu Mu expectantly. Isn't it bigger this time? Compared with before, Katsuyu Sage is indeed a lot older. At first glance, he looks like the kind of master who cannot feed his children. But Lu Mu reacted quickly. This general direction is completely different from what I expected. Although it is much bigger, can you use that thing to heal others? What I want is bigger, Lu Mu said while gesticulating. Seeing Lu Mu's excited look, Katsuyu Immortal suddenly felt aggrieved. It's like what Lu Mu described, but it's not written in the book. It seems that after returning home, I will go to Toad Sage to push for an update. Otherwise, you will not be able to grasp it. Now I can only bite the bullet and give it a try. Master, all I can say is give it a try. Okay, as soon as possible. There are so many people waiting for treatment. If Katsuyu Sage had treated him a second earlier, he might have been able to save one more person. So Lu Mu didn't have time to think, so he began to urge Katsuyu Sage. But as soon as he finished speaking, Lu Mu felt something was wrong. He quickly grabbed Katsuyu Sennin. Are you sure you really understand what I mean? Don't look at me like this. In fact, I am very witty many times. Don't worry, leave it to me. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.